Back in my bag, yo. Conscious. ISO. Diamond. Back in my bag and I gotta brag, I do this shit for real. When we was down and we had nothing, we had to share a meal. We put the shit in overdrive with no steering wheel. Shorty throw that thing back in a pair of heels. Yeah, she be riding on that thing like a Ferris wheel. Yeah, I love them dark skin, brown skin, caramel. You know I had to bring it to the hood like she Karen Civil when she keep on turning head. Cause when she walk that thing jiggle. And we going back to back on them like we Huey and we Riley. This that back in my back, low, we back again so highly. This that back in my back, low, we back to change the climate. This that back in my back, low, we bring the force like Tommy. Back in my bag flow. Back in my, yeah, back in my bag, yeah. I'm back in my, yeah, I'm back in my bag, yeah. I'm back in my, this my, back in my bag flow. Back again, yeah, we keep on stacking it, what's happening? Everything in Gucci got me feeling like I'm dapper then. Life has been a movie, yeah, so shout out to the cameraman. Pull up to the scene, it's going down like an avalanche. Steady going up like a travel plan. Homer Simpson face, lucky power plant. Yeah, I'm off that dope, like I'm back again to busy at the Millies, out on Club Hurst. Give the word if it's a cinch, Lord forgive me. Still having motion, dog, so why would I slow it? Make it rain on them, bust a band, then you throw it. We was steady having it, even at our lowest. High speed road running, keep my motor going. Hey, people feel away, but they don't show it. Gotta watch the people that's around you, that you grow it. They be coming around you with some plans to steal your moment. Soon as I bust a nut, she be like, baby, where you going? Never slowing down, it's enough to go around. Yeah, you probably knew it's then, but really you don't know it's now. Niggas let it show and tell, but all my niggas know me well. It was either chase a dream or go to jail, but none of us ain't going. Going back to back on them like we Huey and we Riley. This that back in my back, low, we back again so highly. This that back in my back, low, we back
Here's Milky, the marvelous milking cow. It's fun to milk her, gonna do it right now. She drinks the water when we pump her tail. She's raising her head, it's milking time now. Her pretend milk is a feeling the pail.
She drinks water and gives pretend milk.
Milky, the marvelous milking cow.
Hey guys, the key word there is pretend milk. That's not real milk. How is everyone doing on this Tuesday night? Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? I'm sure you can. I hope you can. If not, y'all will be screaming at me. Marco Scamma was here earlier. I think he had to bail out. Great to see you, my friend. Love Marco Scamma. One of my favorites. B Shady 22, channel member, and my brother. Good to see you, B Shady. Justin Time's in the house, channel member. Good to see you, buddy. And Joe Isabella's in the house, channel member. Good to see you, Joe. I've got something sitting by one of your pieces on the table we'll talk about in a little bit. We've got Richard Hopkins in the house, channel member. Good to see you, Richard. Richard is a champ and has been a huge channel supporter and has been responsible for some giveaways you guys. We'll just say that's anonymous. Paul Mills, my man. What'd you think about that interesting SOCOM, buddy? I'd never seen a knife like that. It kind of looked like a cross between a 940 blade and a weird sheep's foot. Paul's a channel member, good buddy, great supporter. I appreciate him more than he knows. Been a big source of knives I've been able to trade for since I haven't been buying knives. So it's worked out for. Hopefully it's worked out for him too. He knows I'm just holding them for him till he wants them back. Todd Carr, what is up, my man? Good to see you. And I will give you all a little update. It is like 50, 60 mile per hour winds here and raining. It's supposed to end by about 1. But if for some reason this thing just goes black, it means my power went out. I'm not anticipating it because it looks like the shittiest has come through. But it's definitely been windy, stormy, nasty. Just in the last like 3 hours. What's up, young man? Palmer Conley's in the house. Good to see you, Palmer. We've got brother 1931 Leatherworks. Good to see you, Terry. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. I'll show y'all some stuff off tonight. We'll talk about some things. Y'all feel free to throw anything question-wise to me. If y'all were on Pocket Metals last night, I did not rage quit. When I was backstage, I looked down at the clock and I felt like if I was going to argue, I was going to argue with the people at Taco Bell. So I ran down there and to my surprise, I was able to acquire 2 Mexican pizzas and I was able to try some of their tots, their nacho tots, and it was freaking good. And I came back and ate it. So, yeah, that was a mad win because my Taco Bell here is notorious. The one in my neighborhood is notorious for posting on their Google business certain hours, but they don't keep those hours. Joseph S., welcome, my friend. And the other thing for anybody that was there last night listening, I was kind of putting forth a thought that had nothing to do with I'm agreeing that everything that transpired in the Steve USA Blade things was a just total fuck show. Should have been handled 100 different ways. My only thing that I was standing on was intent. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't I've had dinner with Steve and about 8 other knife guys at Blade Show 2022 one time. Was very surprised at his personality in person because I was expecting him. I was kind of intimidated to even go knowing he was coming to dinner, but he's not that guy. And since then, I've only seen him at Blade Show. We don't talk. We're acquaintances. I consider him a friend. I like Steve, but that's not why I take that position. I just know I'm a pretty good judge of character. Very rarely do I miss judging people's character. If I've had a couple of times to talk to him, and I do not think he would have, at the end of the day, performed up to Witty standards. No, he blew that. He blew that a long time ago. but I don't think his intention was ever to not deliver the knives. Now they weren't delivered. I'm hoping they get delivered this week and there's a resolution, but it doesn't make it right. My only point is I don't think he is a quote unquote thief and scammer. I think he got in over his head, made some bad decisions, and did the only thing he was able to do. I wish we had an In and Out. And I'll tell you what, what's the one is what's the one only in California? Is that Whataburger? Again, I don't know if they're any good, but they look delicious. We have in Alabama, I think they're everywhere. What's up, Mayor Salt? Good to see you, brother, channel member, and a good friend. We have Steak and Shakes here that have the best fries. Their shakes are take it or leave it, but their burgers I really like. They're kind of that thin, crispy like patty, but I would be interested in trying an In and Out and or a Whataburger. To you, Palmer, or for me? To me, it's like 10 minutes away. And I'll get on there and I don't know if y'all I'm a digital marketing guy, so one of the things I did was help businesses update and optimize their Google My Business. 'Cause that's a really important not only signal for people to be able to find your business if they're searching for a business like yours, but it's also very important to be accurate about your information because what it is it's reactive. So if you say your hours are 6 a.m. to 1 a.m., um, it's going to leave a green light on your Google My Business listing. It's not going to, you can't go in and turn it off if you decide to leave at midnight because it's been slow. And they're real bad about doing that shit. Um, and I haven't left a review yet because I know reviews are kind of nasty. If you ever have a company big enough, and every company's got to Google My Business, that if you ever have somebody that's not responding to you, if it's a knife company, if it's anything, use their Google My Business listing. If y'all remind me, I will show you what I mean by that. I won't leave a bad review, but what you'll find is someone will reach out to you because it's not what they want. And Google My Business is like if somebody searches for their business, sometimes negative reviews pull up. Jeffrey Dawson, channel member, what is up, dude? Y'all are all greeting each other. I love it. It is the least authentic Mexican food, and I love authentic Mexican food. I lived about 12 miles over the mountain from where I live now. And the only reason I say that is one of the Mexican restaurants, the authentic ones, had a little taco truck. They would set up till 10:30 every night, right around the corner from my house. And I would eat there 3 times a week. There's no comparison. But if you're hungry and high and you like a Mexican pizza with no beans, extra meat, you can't go wrong. And then you get a bunch of the green verde sauce and the mild sauce, and you just coat it like syrup. And it's probably the least healthy thing that I could eat, but I ate 2 of them and they were freaking delicious. And if that wasn't bad enough, I had tots with nacho cheese on them. Dude, if you're gonna meet a lot of legends, I am no legend, but we will meet at Blade Show this year in June. I still don't know and don't have my plans made, but I'm like 3 hours away. So the whole thing for me is just getting there. If I have to sleep in my car, I will be there. Because last year when I went, I rode over with a buddy who'd never been, him and his son, and really wanted him to experience it, but knew we were just going to go for Saturday, leave, get there when it opened and leave about 6, right? Well, that took away for me the worst part was that I had to rush around to see people, and I'm not a drinker, but I hang out in the pit when I go to Blade Show in the evenings because that's where you meet everybody. That's where I met Tim Reeves. That's where I met Love Them Knives. That's where I said hey to Bob DeMarco. It's just you mingle with people that you know of, that you've bought or might be carrying their knives, and you can have very candid conversations. There's several candid conversations I want to have with a couple of makers that I know well enough. And Greg Medford never called me back. I'm sure he's been busy, and my call was not important. I even said it was not important. Jack in the Box is impressively good. They've got fantastic tots too, but they don't have them in certain size cities. I'd have to drive probably 20 miles, 30 miles to a Jack in the Box. But Blade Show is to me the reason that I'm still in the knife hobby. So I have this and have always had this deal where I will, because of my ADHD, I'll latch onto a hobby. It could be skateboarding, it could be longboarding, which has lasted, it could be music, which has lasted, but I'll go through phases where I'm just constantly consuming pedals, shit I don't need, but dumping deep and heavy into a hobby, and it lasts about a year. And then I kind of mellow out of it and I find something different. Whoops, I just whacked my mic. Sorry about that if that blew anybody's eardrums out. But with the knives, I'm convinced the same thing would have happened had I stayed, in isolation, because that's when I kind of got into the community and in live streams. When I made myself go to Blade Show, who did I go with? A to Z EDC. We went the first year. And that's the year I happened to have dinner with Jason Brown, OCD for EDC. I'm going around the table. Grateful Panic, Jason Bird, who's Jason Brown's best friend, A to Z EDC, Steve Kalari, Super Still Steve, and there were two more people. Oh, Dan Brock and one other guy. But anyway, long story short, I realized that the relationships and the people were so, and not everybody, I'd say 98% are what you would expect based on the communications you've had if they're active in chat. And I had some really nice people come up that watch content that I've never seen in chat. But not everybody does live streams and not everybody's comfortable to do that. But it's a fantastic, and the first couple of years I went, I didn't have a channel. So I was just meeting people that I like. Big Red, I met him the first year. He came to Atlanta. I met Peter and Christine, Women Carry Knives and Therapeutic Edge. And spent a lot of time talking to them. It's just a great, great time. And I'm stoked for it. I'll find a way. Like y'all know, I'm not working now. I don't really have income, but I'm not that worried about it because I'll find a way to get over there. If I have to flip a couple of Medfords, I will be there with bells on just for the people. I bet. I mean, what's weird, Jeffrey, and I know y'all all know this, you can find the best food in the oddest places. I'm one of those people that's a little leery, right? I kind of get nervous about food. I would have to drive to Beaumont, Texas, which is 2.5 hours. How close are you to Texas Blade Show, Richard? And again, I'm geographically, college algebra was the biggest hurdle for me getting out of college. But geography, those were my two Ds. World geography, and I'm better at state geography, but not, I know the capital. But how far are you, Richard, from where Blade Show is? And are you going to try to get over there? Because if you're within driving distance, I'm 3.5 hours from Atlanta. And I go just because, to me, even though that's a long drive, I think it's a quick drive for the 9 hours. Yeah, Texas is so big. I used to live in Boulder, Colorado for about 4 years after college. And one year I drove through South, Knight's Edge. Dude, you don't have to do that, but thank you so much. Here's a gallon of gas and a Slim Jim. Dude, I appreciate it. This drives some of y'all crazy. I don't have a kazoo, but I do have mad love and respect. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much. But yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. And things happen and some people don't make it, and that's cool, but you will see me there. You will see me there, and we will go out. What's great about it is we all try to rally up and find a place to go to breakfast. If you are buddies with said Stevie and are looking to do an Airbnb type of thing, I recommend getting in on that kind of early in planning. I wish I could plan that far in advance because they always come up with great places. I always end up visiting over there one night and hanging out. But it's just The knives are great, but the people are so much better. And sitting around with a lot of people looking at a lot of different knives that they brought or that they bought is just cool. Everybody's got a thing, and all I wanna do, if I could just go, "Thank you, thank you, thank you," why that go away? "Thank you, thank you, thank you," but, and I feel like I need to do something. I used to have my little applaud thing. That sounds like somebody that I've heard, and then there's an air horn that was as old as, you know I'm just, you know, I'm just appreciative. So if and said Stevie, I am not by any means, volunteering people to look you up. I was just talking about the where I feel like is the best place to gather. I would love to somehow stay with you guys if I could plan ahead far enough. But I'll tell you, for a place to go after Blade Show and sit around, whether it's outside or inside, and shoot the shit and have a great time. One of my all time. I was just saying why I don't do that. Turn down the effects volume. I can do that, dude. Well, put that one back where it needs to be. And I'm not going to use the effects, guys. I usually just do them when Pocket Metal's around because it just really triggers them. What is up, Kevin Smith and Knives, channel member? Welcome, welcome, welcome. But said my super chat Cracker Jack clicker sounded like a dog trainer. Did you tell him to fuck off? I always see Jared at Blade Show. But what I was saying is one of my favorite Blade Show experiences, and a lot of people probably don't remember this because I don't know how many people were sitting around the table, and it was kind of trivial. Shane's most favorite time where he spent little what's his name on his hip is much better, but we were all sitting around a table and Dopey was there, very, very drunk, and Shane was there, I think still coming off eating like I think 5 milligrams of edibles that lasted Shane and transported him to another world. But they got into a discussion, a debate with the side of hate, talking about what Shane talks about. And at the time, Dopey was really and still is like a lot of us. It doesn't matter to me wherever people get knives, but it was if you can imagine, if you all know Dopey on a bottle of Jack Daniels and Shane on Ego and Facts, it was just awesome. It was awesome. And I sat there and laughed, and Forrest was there, Snuzz was there, Stevie was there, Joe was there, Joe's wife, who I don't remember her name. I think she was scared of me. I don't blame her. Scott N was there. Shane was there. Grateful Panic was there. He was sick, but that's karma. Um, what else? Who else was there? But they just had the greatest group, and that was the year. That was the year after Maddie came to Blade Show because the first year I met him, Maddie was there, and they had driven across country, and that was also. I'm just telling y'all, Jess and Joe. I should be easy to Joe and Jess, even though I should put her first. Joe and Jess is easier to remember. Thank you, said Stevie. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. Who have I missed? Who have I missed? And Stevie, I know I have no idea where you are or what you're doing, but you and Maddie have links and a couple more out. But I know it's Tuesday night, and I figure if nothing else, Kyle Coonley, I love it, dude. I love to see my little graph kind of go up, and then I love to see when, and I can usually tell when it's you because I think you have several accounts that you like. You unsub at the same time, so it makes more of a blip. Since you know I'm the analytics guy, and that was all in jest, even though you guys probably don't believe me. The what is Shane? What is a Shane? I hope Shane drops in. As a matter of fact, one thing I didn't do. Y'all give me 2 seconds. Talk amongst yourselves while I pull up something here real quick. One thing I did not do is send my buddy and my brother from another mother, Shane, not that he's awake or cares, but he always usually gets a link too. Because he usually every now and then he'll hear something in the chat because he lurks and he loves to come up and just blow it up. And I'm all for it. I feel like if it's entertaining and it's good content and it makes you feel, that's a good thing. We should all feel, right? It's always good to feel a little bit. Don't take things too seriously. Know that everybody's different and know that we still are all, can be friends if we just get past the major, the major environmental, biological, and sociological differences between us. It's amazing that we get along as well as we do. But Shane will come in and say something, hopefully. Let me get him hooked up. Could be. And I always spell atrociously. So I'm done. I'm back. It's all good. It is all good. Who have I missed? Who have I missed? Had the coolest thing happen. Vosteed, I'd reached out to him because I really like and had met at my first Blade show, and I don't remember her name, but I don't know if y'all know Doug Yu. He goes by Dr. EDC. I think before Vosteed, he was Dr. EDC, or maybe I wasn't aware of Vosteed, but I was remember of him. Dude, sitting there eating that lovely Domino's, and I remember Snuz just in absolute tranquility leaning against the wall. I mean, that was absolutely a mad good time, and that was the first time. That was like an hour or 2 after we met. But it seems, and I don't say it seems, in 99% of the cases of the people that actually show up, I've never been surprised. Now, I've been surprised where people's personalities in person didn't meet their personalities online, but I was never surprised that they were, well, maybe once or twice, but they were always better. Or if they had a harsh, they were just, it was different. It's when you see people in person, it's just a lot better. No, multiple accounts, dude. I have a hard time doing multiple platforms. I'm very inactive on Instagram. If people send me Instagram messages, reach out. I'll send you, if you don't hear back, just say, send me your freaking number. I do better on text. I hear you, buddy. And I hope you're enjoying your new job, dude. I hope I told you congratulations because it sounds like an awesome deal. As long as you keep the freedom pills out of your pocket when you cross borders. Not everybody understands us. I'll tell you guys, no, I'm not, because I'm not going to ruin it for you. But I used to be a Waffle House late night, even when I got sober. I've been sober now for over 9 years, but I still love scrambled, covered, smothered, and chunked or peppered. I forget what I like to have the peppers in them. The on my hash browns, the I get them a certain way. I love them, and then I always get their 2 eggs, overlight fried, cup of coffee. It is what it is. Every Waffle House, except for the building it resides in, are very consistent. I think Waffle House is one of those places that you can go to and get a pretty similar food experience. But I had a traumatic experience. Kyle, I know how you feel, buddy. I respect you for it. But what I was saying is, what I was going to say is, and I forgot, thank you for reminding me with your sarcasm, even though it's not sarcasm. I know you actually feel that way, and I still love you. Because I mean, it is what it is. But I'd reached out to them, and they done it once, like 3 or 4 years ago, because they knew me when I met them at the first Blade show. I had an Instagram that I spent a lot of time on, and they knew me because I used to drive around and flip knives. Things happen. You don't flip knives in your car anymore. Anyway, um, just for, I guess you'd call it perception. But and they did a Instagram promotion with me, I think for a Bellamy, where it was a giveaway. It's one of those that you see on Instagram all the time. You tag a friend, you subscribe to, like in my case, you follow my channel, you follow Vosteed. And then this last one that they just did on a parallel last week, you had to join their Facebook feedback group or whatever, because they are looking for feedback from the community on their knives, which I commend them from that. Now, do they answer it? I think they're doing some of the coolest stuff in terms of innovative. But so we did an Instagram giveaway, the second one they've ever done. I asked, to do one, and they did for a parallel, and it did really well. There were a ton of people there, and brother, I can't think of his name right now, but he's in South Africa. He's in every one of our lives. He's probably listening from work now. Let me pull it up and tell you who it was, because it's worth congratulating him if you see him, because he won it. And to me, for him to be somebody that's in the chat and Instagram, most of the people, what's good about if you do a promotion with a maker on Instagram, you never have to see the knife. They send it out, but your posts are exposed to an audience, because Instagram doesn't let us see new audiences. If you're a knife channel, you're kind of screwed there. But if you collaborate with people who have different follower groups, it worked out good. Let me see who won though. All right, let's go to here. Kyle, are you feeling better, dude? Are you fully recovered? And you've got a back door, so if you've got anything smart ass that you want to say, you're welcome to jump in anytime. Yeah, G-Man Pixie 44. None of y'all probably know who G-Man Pixie 44 is, but you do know G-Man Pixie 44. G-Man Pixie 44 is Gareth HB, who's in the chat all the time. So, again, he's in South Africa. Basti was happy to ship for him since he was international. Super nice guy. And for so many people that entered that, for someone who we actually see in chat to have won, I thought that was cool. Mark Parks, channel member, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Welcome to Insomniac Sit and Spin, where I do need to put on some low-key music, because the goal is to help y'all quiet your busy minds. That's why I have the little mind emoji there. And if you ever come in and you see this emoji up there, I don't think you call those emojis, but this lets you know that my brain is like a amusement park ride, and it's probably going to get weird, but it's feeling pretty low key now. And that could change. And it could turn into a knife fight, but I'm hoping it just stays chill. But let's get some low key quiet music that's not obtrusive. Have y'all ever been on one of Metal Complex's lives? I sit on Friday nights for a little while because I have to kill like an hour and a half before I get ready for my live. And I don't know if y'all have ever been on one of his giveaway lives, but the music he plays, I don't know if he does it because he likes it or he does it as a troll, but he plays 80s video game soundtracks. Roman M, howdy, buddy. I know I've missed some people. I'm going to check again. There's Gareth right there. Gareth, we were just talking about you. I doxed your Instagram name because I'm going to put it up here in a second. Maybe we'll get some people to follow you. But I was talking about the giveaway that Vosteed partnered on me, and I had to draw for the winner today. And it came up, and I reached out to you. I had no idea because Instagram names never match. And Gareth is a South African kicking it at work today, listening in. And he's a recent winner. Jesse, what's up, buddy? I think Jesse won recently on a giveaway. I could be wrong. I forget. If I ever forget, for example, if I ever say something, I like to do it right away. Like Carrie and I are working on getting some hardware, so I still haven't heard back, but I've sent that email. But if I ever tell you, I did something with Chicago 23. I told him I had something I'd send him, and a detent ball for a Spyderco smock and a spring because I took mine out. I only needed one, and I know I'm not going to sell that knife. And I wanted to send it to him because he needed it, but I will forget, right? So if I tell you I'm going to DM you or send you something, most times I will, but if I don't, please remind me, because if I say I've got it and I'll do it, I've got it and I'll do it. But will my brain remember that I said that? Sometimes not. I really think I'm getting old agers. And I'm happy with it. I can live with it. What else we got here? Stephen Clayton Jr. is in the house. Channel member. Good evening, buddy. Welcome to Insomniac Sit and Spin, where I'll answer any questions. And y'all could throw questions at me that I couldn't answer, but I could direct you to somebody who would if Kyle's still in the chat. We got Richard in the house. Richard and I chat all the time. Great guy. If y'all don't know Richard, say hi to Richard. Hey, but Richard, good news. There will be more chances, and not just on Instagram. So I try to do very short members lives on Saturday just to be respectful of everybody's time, but I do them for really one reason. That's to give back to you guys. So try to jump in there around 10:15. So it starts at 11. 11:15. I usually start collecting comments because I want people to have time to get in there. And we're usually out of there by noon because other people are going live. Night's Edge is usually still live when I go live. And we usually have 17 or 18 people in there, so your odds are great. But the only reason I do those is to answer questions. Not that I'd be qualified, but I'd answer questions or show y'all stuff. Paul, that is awesome. Did Kyle ship it? Dude, I'm waiting for mine, but I told Shane, no rush. I mean, absolutely. And one thing, Night's Edge, if you keep asking that question annually, it'll probably be 2 or 3 years when I say you're right, because I can tell how fast my brain's going, and it's genetic in my family. I need Jess's a new sub-$100 knife slip joint with the pocket clip. Giving my brother for his 40th birthday. Sub $100 slip joint with a clip. Guys, throw some in there. I'm not that familiar with Rosecraft. I know. Does he not like a slip or does he just need a clip? Because I've got some knives that have clips. I don't like them as much, and I still put them in a slip. Like I've got a TRM, but that's more expensive. A knife with a clip. Slip joint. I can suggest a lot of good slip joints. The slip joint I would suggest, if it was me, and y'all hold your ears, Kyle, the QSP Hedgehog, and you don't have to get one of the, because if you go to the traditional knife company, traditional pocket knives, you can get a really nice one, a custom like they do. But I just got the Satisfaction. What's up, brother? But I just check your Instagram if you're bored, dude. But I got a carbon fiber. The QSP's carbon fiber Hedgehog, and it was $88. You can get a micarta one for $68. It does not have a clip. Yeah, I only have the TRM with a clip, but this knife right here, and this one's a one with carbon fiber, but the one from QSP is identical. It just has a different kind of carbon fiber. It doesn't have fat carbon. But this is a knife that's very easy to open, but it has very good, strong walk and talk, but you can grab it with your whole hand. It's a good size knife if it can get past the clip. And what I do is this is the slip for this knife. So I just push it down in my leather slip and I keep this in my left pocket. But anybody, Queen Cutlery makes a traditional looking knife with a clip, but I'd go with the Spyderco UK. Let's pull that up. Good suggestion. Jeffrey? That's why I want y'all to ask questions if you have them, because I won't be able to answer them, but the chat will. Ed, I'm excited for you to go. Is Scotch in the house? Scotch, I can send you a link, dude. I thought you were going back today. No, you were off today. You're going back tomorrow. Night's Edge, I'm proud of you. How do you like it? Did you get an SNG or did you get an SMF or did you get a PT? Now I'm freaked out because I was just typing something. Oh, I was going to look at the Spyderco UK PK. UK PK. I had a Spyderco Roadie, and they just came out with the Spyderco Roadie XL. But that was a great knife. Yes, yes. It's 115 MSRP, so I know you can get that for less. Do ask that question. Let me go back and find it. I should have twerked while I was back there. And Scotch, just so you know, because I had somebody call me, I did not rage quit last night. When I got put in timeout again, or I was backstage, I looked at the clock and I was bound and determined. I figured if I was going to argue, I was going to argue with Taco Bell. So I bailed out and I scored 2 Mexican pizzas and some nacho tots. And I knew it was about to be over anyway. And I didn't know how long I was going to be behind the screen. So I said, man, I'm making a run for it. Where is that question? I agree. And I put skiff bearings. The Medford Slim Midi, if I'm not mistaken, is the only Medford on bearings. Because my Medford Midi Marauder is on washers, and my Infraction's on washers, and I love them both dearly. But the Slim Midi's on another level. And mine, when I got it, it was real hard to unlock, like my Strider was when I first got it. But after using it, they're butter now. TKE still hadn't sent you anything. Oh no. Where is okay? I haven't seen any of the clip. I'm about to show it, but I want to make sure I get to the person who asked. All right, MK. Here, if you're still in here, I'm going to show you this knife. Now, don't be scared of the 115 because it's going to be under that if we find it at a retailer, which we will. But this knife, Spyderco makes great knives, very slicey knives. So it's got a clip. UK, which means it's a slip joint because they can't have locking knives. This guy is CTS BD1N steel. Kyle Coonley can chime in about that steel because I know nothing about it. But it is got almost a 3-inch blade and it's a 6.88 inch knife. Closed is 3.95 inches. And those wire clips are some of my favorite clips. I used to always swap them out for a Lynch wire replacement. I don't know why. But now I really like wire clips. And I've got, like I said, I've got an old TRM, but they don't make those anymore. I traded that with pocket metal. Great knife. And I like a clip on a slip joint. It makes perfect sense. I'm trying to think. I've seen several. I know y'all were talking about it last night. Did Scotch jump on it? Scotch is on, 39 days till payment. That's right, because he's on a 40-day freeze. Yeah, I think that's good to try to do things like that. And I want to make a video. I'm not good at doing videos where I sit down. I do them for members sometimes, but I want to do a video where I just talk about what I've learned. It's totally my experience. But when I first got in the community and what I was buying and why I was buying it, I know now. And then what Dark Gravity used to always, and Shane too, this is long before I had a channel, would tell me, John, if you want a hinderer, don't buy so many of these knives. Now they've been great because I've been blessed to have knives that I was able, when I was working, to get. They were budget knives. I've been able to pass them along, but it's just not something I learned that if I would resist, because what it did with me, because I have mental illness, I've got ADHD and all kinds of litany of other issues. But for me, when I would order something, and I'd usually do it right before I fell asleep when I was in an ambient haze, I'd wake up and I'd have confirmation emails. They would kind of be exciting. They'd be mysterious. Um, but I would buy a lot of knives. I would watch reviews. I'd see budget knives that look cool, and I would gobble them up. $90, $80, $100. And Dark Gravity was one that said, John, if you would hold off for, because I'd buy 2 a week. I had to have, what I was getting at before I lost my train of thought is I learned that what I was getting high on was the dopamine from when I got that incoming email and I knew I had something on the way, and I would track it, I would get it, I would open it. I wouldn't do unboxings. I didn't have a channel, but I'd play with it. I'd love it. I'd be like, man, this is a great knife. But inevitably, I would have another knife on the way already or close to being on the way, and it would get put in the case, right? And you can only carry, we could probably all get by with 3 or 4 good knives, and we could probably all get by with 1 if we really broke it down to ridiculous. But I don't think there's a right or wrong way to go into a hobby. I think hobbies are just that. But I do wish I thought about it a little differently. I don't think me doing a video on that. Oh, Scotch, you're heading to bed. You're working tomorrow, right? Dude, the wind's like 50 miles per hour here. I don't know how it got from you to us. EGG is double gunner grip. Sweet, Gareth. Gareth, are you uploading on IG or on YouTube? You go to your guys, I apologize. When I open other windows, I've got the chat, but I can't. I thought I had it figured out where I could run the chat and read it, but my eyes, I just got dopamine from an Amazon. Dude, that's real dopamine. And that's what I'm saying. So that's where I was going to go. So when I was by those knives, I loved them. I loved every knife I gave away, and I was glad to have it to give it away. Every Kaiser I bought, I don't regret it because they made me love knives more and more and more. But when I quit buying for like 3 weeks and bought my first hinderer, I still have that hinderer. I've added a scale to it. I love that knife, and it means more to me. So then I started buying other knives I didn't think I'd ever be able to get, and I wouldn't have had I been buying what I'd always bought. But it's part of any other hike, right? When you go, I think of the knife collecting hobby as a hike. The reason I say that is we're all kind of like scouts or campers on a hike, but we all go down different paths. Different things rock our boats. Some people are fixie guys. Another thing, I'll go squirrel brain on you. Don't ever rule out. Don't ever say you never will. Because I said I'll never be into fixies. I could care less about slip joints. I'm nuts about fixies now. I don't know why. I have no idea why. Because I'm not a hard use guy. I use the open Amazon packages and cat food, for God's sakes. But I have a few slip joints now. I got out of the slip joint phase. I still have a great collection, so I felt like I had that covered. But I swore I'd never want one. That was my granddad's knife. That was my dad's knife. Awesome Joe. I'm going to show it here in just a second. I just put up Gareth's channel. He is in the southern part of Africa. He's in South Africa. And we talked tonight via a couple of recorded messages. Then he butt dialed me, and I was typing Vosteed at the time, so I couldn't answer because I knew he didn't mean to dial me, but I want to talk to him because your accent's awesome, dude. And you've always been around. That's why, to me, when I saw the name on the giveaway, G-Man Pixie 44, I had no idea who that was. And it's Gareth. You're welcome, buddy. Oh, I wish I could get some South African knives. Gareth won a knife. He's one of our viewers, and he won a knife. And I would love to get an Arnold Bernard. Is that it? And there are a couple of African knives on the channel, Kathleen. There's a company called Advanced Tactical. No, hold on. Let me find. I'm gonna have to go to find it. I'm gonna have to go to my least favorite store to find it. I'm not gonna say who that is, but this is a guy in South Africa who I've met at both Nashville knife shows. And my buddy A to Z owns 3 of his knives, and I've had the opportunity to review them. Let's go to brands. Let's go to customs, custom, semi-customs. Andrew DeVilliers knives. So they're also South African and very nice. That's true. And so far, I've never spent over $1,000. I've gotten close. I know people who have, and I think luckily, I'm not a watch guy. I've got an Apple Watch. I upgrade it maybe every 4 years. And it works for me because it helps me stay on track, which is my biggest thing. But there's value in anything anybody buys. If you buy a $10 Ozark knife and it serves your purpose, you're getting your and you love it and you can afford it, you're getting your value out of that knife. And I can tell you from the knife makers that I've gotten to know in the community, and the things that I don't understand, but I hear from people who do understand, the amazing level of precision they're able to deliver with just their hands and basic tools. They're selling their knives for too little. They have to. They're new makers. Hello, Matt Yako. What is up, brother? Tickle Steel. All right, I've got to check that. See, you guys, that's why I love lives, because I learn more than you guys ever will. Tickle Steel. Oh yeah. I just love seeing it. And I mean, the thing that opened my eyes, I think more than anything, was going to that little Rocket City knife show that was here the weekend before last, that I had no idea was even a show. And I didn't know it was a show, except I saw one of the people I'm a fanboy of, Driver Defense, Dustin Driver, was going to be there. And it was in my hometown. And it was $5 to get in. I figured, sure, I'm going to go. So I went, and I bumped into people from Alabama and Tennessee, 2 little states, and their work, whether it was slip joints, whether it was fixed blades, whether it was resale knives. There were people selling GECs there. The prices that they had on the tube seemed high. But yeah, this was like a great retailer. I'm a fan. Pickle Steel Co. Ron Crow, what is up, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you, my man. And I think it's B Shady. I'm supposed to be keeping an eye on the USA made blades. And I saw a review today. I don't know who put it up. It wasn't somebody I normally see, but it was of one of the Jurassic hologrinds, and they're coming in with some half-track grinds. Woody had said on one of his lives last week. Let me show you these guys. And there's reviews out there with people showing these off. But the Jurassic's a great shape. I have one that's a thicker knife. This hollow is pretty sick. And all the knives Woody said that were coming out of Hinderer right now, they're really on a hollow grind kick. So, the thing that I always was told, and I reprofiled my Hinderers and made them where they were more slicey, but I've never had a hollow ground Hinderer. So they've got some eclipses on here. They're slicers and hollow grind. I believe these are hollow grinds. That's just a slicer. But look how all that flat is. And all of my Hinderers are much thicker. None of them are slicers. But they've got some half tracks coming in that will be hollows if any of y'all are looking. And they're still, I think, $425. Kathleen. She knows we make mistakes, Matt, and we say things that we make bad. Cheeto and Loathing in Las Vegas. What's up, buddy? I'd gotten a drop, and I won't wear y'all out with it, but this was inspired by Cheeto, and it was inspired by my childhood, and y'all won't remember it.
I most heartily recommend Cheetos, cheese-flavored puffs. They have real cheese flavor and come in two kinds of crunches, baked to a depth.
Y'all remember that commercial? That was back in the day, and those baked Cheetos were the bomb. Dude, thank you, Garrett. That's awesome. Kathleen, I am not doing anything with ads except for the one I just showed. Now, this is an ad.
My baloney has a first name. It's OSCAR.
But those are just drops. If YouTube's showing ads, it doesn't surprise me. I watch live streams because I'm not a YouTube premium member, and I get now served ads in live streams where I used to not. I apologize for that. Jeffrey Dawson ordered a second Zon today. This one's Tanto. I need to show y'all some knives. Paul Mills prefers the 850 knives. And you do have a Cortex, right, Paul? Because when you were saying the other day that the Mini FSD was one of your favorites, I thought you had a Cortex. And when I got A to Z's Cortex and reviewed it, I didn't think anything I could like better than the FSD. But something about that detent on that Cortex and that slicey blade make me just love it. I love Spyderco's. As a matter of fact, when we finish this live, and this will lead to my first unboxing, I'll use this. But on the back side of my computer where I live stream from, I have where I do all my table down video. And I've got a Spyderco Pair 2, an S110V, and it's got BOA micarta scales and has for 4 or 5 years. And so I have another PM2 with rock scale designs, and I've got a Manix with rock scale designs scales, and they came out. That's a backspacer. They came out with linerless, and these match the scales that I have on my Crewwear or my CTS XHP Warncliffe. So I'm going to do a scale install. I'm going to attempt, because I always rock the boat when I'm doing Spyderco's. What I was trying to decide, and I'll ask you guys, I don't know if I'll let it sway me, but this is the knife. Only because I bought these scales and put them on it. This is my regular PM2 and S110V. And it's got bronze hardware, which will look fine. And then I've got another micarta Spyderco. But I bought this one from Keith the Knife Freak. So this kind of has a little sentimental value. It's got the lanyard hole stopper. It's got copper hardware. And it's got these A Purvis scales that are micarta, but they're really nicely textured. So I could either put the titanium scales on this Tonto, but I think I carry this one much more. And these scales are kind of smooth and they're older and they got a lot of hand oil in them. So I think this is the one I'm going to put those scales on later this morning. And if all things go right, or even if they don't, it'll just be a different video. It'll have a school bus. If my thumbnail has a school bus on fire, that means it was a hassle. But these are the same pattern of those scales. Because I wanted to match. They're called Critter Pattern. And this is on a knife I traded Justin ODC, Justin from OCD for EDC, a SOG Big Seal holder. It was way too big for me. But these rock scale designs are some of my favorites because the first set I bought were for the Mannix, and they allowed me to get rid of the liners. And a lot of people love the Mannix because of the liners, because they give you that extra grip, especially if you're really working with the knife. I'm a city guy who, again, opens Amazon packages and cat food, right? So for me, by being able to eliminate the steel liners, it's made the knife a much better EDC knife for what I use EDC knives for, which is cutting open cat food. And the occasional Amazon package. But Dave Warren from Tuya had sent me some knives to check out, and I want to show them to you guys. They're the first one that went out today, and this knife, I'm not a recurve guy. I'm going to make this big. But this knife, I was showing it off on Pocket Metals last night, and I thought it was CG & Sons micarta. But when I went back and read about it, it is CG & Sons G10. And they've got several colors of it, but it feels like and looks like a linen paper micarta. And this knife is on a full titanium frame. It's got a wicked hollow ground, a little bit of a recurve, Tonto, nice harpoon blade, full size knife. It's contoured, but it's about the size of a Spyderco PM2. And these, and I'm sending these back, but these are on his site for, they drop for like $270. I think they're on closeout for $179, M390. And I can't stress enough, my camera doesn't do it justice, but this G10 is unlike anything I've ever seen. And then he has two, and this is probably going to be polarizing in some camps, but he has two Jim Skelton designs that are both on closeout. And this one's called the Scapoid, that's off of one of his fixed blade designs, and it's a hollow ground on the flat. Then you've got that Tanto point. Very much a gentleman's Tanto because it's thin. The blade's fully recessed. You've got three little carbon fiber weave panels, frame lock, nice clip. And this came out for right under $300. And I think these are selling until they're gone. I think there are about 40 of them left for $159. For S90V, this one's S90V, where the Wolf, which is the red one, is carbon fiber. And then this is another Skelton design, and this is called, I can't imagine what the full size looks like, but this is called the Mini Hellfire. And it is also just a stonewashed titanium, S90V, couple of pieces of carbon fiber, with a super cool, if you're into cleavers, compound ground cleaver that I can only imagine is a cardboard destroyer. Because you feel no resistance between the blade and the paper that you're cutting. I have not cut cardboard with it, because again, I'm not hard using these knives. I'm just kind of giving overviews of them, showing them, and letting people know that this was a $240 or $270 knife that I think is also $159. Big hunk of S90V, full size knife. That already put my PM2 up. That's it next to the Hedgehog. I consider it full size. It might not be full size to Stevie or Maddie, but it'd be close. And those are just a couple of cool knives that they sent over for me to check out that happened to be on sale. I didn't know they were on sale when they sent them to me. All right, I'm going low, low, low. I missed a lot. Y'all tell me, because again, I've had some lives where people say they get hit with a lot of ads. I get some where nobody mentions an ad. And I don't know, from what I can tell you about being in the ad tech business, a lot of reason that certain people get served ads is YouTube, Google Ads, is selling ads based on advertisers who are trying to reach a target audience. And YouTube and social media outlets are very guarded with the audience and how deeply you can dig down into their likes and dislikes. But you can kind of, so for example, YouTube could run out an ad block and 3 people out of 40 could be a match for that ad and get served it where nobody else will, because it's an ad for something that other people don't show any interest for. One knife I don't have, but I've reviewed, and it's one that my collection is desperately missing. I worked with Paul Mills, and we almost got a trade for one. I was never a big fan until I experienced one. And that's why I urge you guys, keep an open mind, because I swore I'd never get a Hinderer, or I'd never get a Strider. Never was interested in those things. Swore I'd never get a CRK. They never did it for me. Now they do. I get it. Nice. I'll show you a cool one, Jeffrey. This is the first one I got. And ironically, it comes from Dark Gravity, the one who told me if I would quit buying lesser expensive knives on such the regular. This is the first Hinderer I got. And just to tell you how much your views can change, we went to the Nashville Custom Knife Show, A to Z, he and I drove up together and we met Dark Gravity there and we looked at each other's knives. This is a 3-inch XM18. When I first checked it out, it's got a Skinner blade, which I love, but I was not that blown away. I was like, I kind of get it. Not, not altogether sure. He said, do me a favor, carry it for a week. Just see if you like it. Like, all right, I'll give it a carry. Carried it for a week, and it happened to be the week of my first blade show. And went up there, carried it around. This is a small, thin knife. I bought another 3-inch, but I prefer the larger ones. I've got a Warncliffe too, but I'm just a huge, huge fan. A lot of people aren't, and I get it. And I wasn't. It was something that I never got, never understood it. But I can look at my collection, and there are knives that I never wanted to have. I never wanted an out the front knife. They've never done anything for me. I used to get them in high school when we'd go down to the mall to the Fantasy Knife Company, and they'd always break and you'd have to pull them out. The first one I got was an EMP EDC Warncliffe that's actually very EDC friendly. This is an axial shift American made one, but I carry it. I enjoy it. It's legal in my state, but I see the appreciation of a knife that I would not even look at those knives on a website before. I don't know what makes us, or I can't say us. I don't know what makes me change like that. Check out Gareth. If y'all aren't following Gareth on the IG, let me throw him back up here. Where'd he go? There he is. Where'd he go? Bear with me. I'm on another page, guys. I'm not just going into how's he pulling up my recents? This is Jacob. All right, there's Gareth. All right. And again, this is if you want to follow. Whoops. And again, that's what was so funny about the giveaway is I had no idea who G-Man Pixie 44 was. Cheeto! Maddie! Who else have I missed? The only reason I turned monetization on, and I thought that was the case with all lives, is you might get served an ad when you come in, and then on replays you might get served an ad, you might get served a mid-roll, but I don't know how the whole live ad insertion works. That stuff, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you, man. Karen, good to see you. Channel members both. Welcome to both of you guys. Edgy American Blades is in the house. Edgy, I sent you a link in case you hear something in the chat. You or Kyle and want to come up and set me straight, you're welcome to. I'm not touchy. I'm not going to get triggered. I'm not going to run out for Taco Bell. It's all good. Oh, that mass face. What mass? I got you, buddy. You know, you don't ever have to come on to give something away. You can always come on just to talk about what you're doing, what's on your mind, and you never have to come on when I invite you. You can just say, dude, I'm chilling. I know how it is. I'm going back. What did I miss? Maddie, you did hear Cleaver. And this Cleaver is a skeleton design, which might make you love it or hate it. Compound grind. Carbon fiber titanium. And it's on sale for $159 at Tia's website. I think they've got like 70 of them. So it's got a flipper tab that's jimped right on the edge. I've got a review or overview coming out on this knife, but it's great for push button. If you're not a reverse flicker, light switch is very fine. That's a heavy blade, guys. And a reverse finger flicks like cash money. Very slicey. Very beefy. They call it the Hellfire Mini, but it's actually a full-size knife. About the size of a PM2. Hey, buddy.
What's up, man?
How are you, dude?
I'm doing good.
I saw this live, so that means you were at the shop today.
I was, and Mickey had ruined my live stream.
It was 15 minutes, and I didn't go in and watch it yet because I just saw it when I was getting ready to come over here.
I was just doing some grinding, and he knew I was live and called me and just wouldn't stop. He just kept calling until I had to end the live and answer his phone call.
Well, I'm sure it was worth it.
Absolutely not. But anyway.
Well, no, but it's meathead.
Yeah. Well, I was going to tell you what I'm going to, barring something catastrophic happening, the only original Joke Wolf I have in my possession, I'm going to give it away Friday. Kind of in honor of the Joke Wolves actually getting done, and they're starting to be delivered now.
But you've got one that you sold to me. You remember that? I haven't paid you.
I sold you a K390 full, the new version.
I got you.
This is the original ones I made that I was not happy with. So before anybody gets excited, it's Nitro V. It's tiny. The hollow grind didn't come out good, so I reground it flat. It's not perfect, But it's a free knife.
And it's an awesome handmade knife that is
I'll show
going
you
to
one.
go down in lore. I have a feeling, I was talking to Paul about it, that I'm so excited to see it, for one. I'm in no rush.
I'll show
I'm
you
so excited to
why I'm not giving it away tonight. When I reground it, because of the original mess up, I've got to add a chole here because
make it big.
there's a huge mistake right here. Can you guys see that?
Thank you, Paul. I'm going to play the love song for you here in a sec.
Yeah, that's nasty. So I'm going to add a chole here to do away with this misgrind. And yeah, these things are literally they're tiny.
And guys, I know I hear you, because Shane, I'm not going to say the S word, but you're a steel purist. Nitro V is fine steel for most of us too. Hey, Mikey's Daily Carry.
Yeah,
really
absolutely it is.
And a lot of people use it, and I wouldn't ever apologize for it, Shane.
But this at one point in time was hollow ground very badly. So I went back and flat ground it, but because of the hollow grind, I ended up with a little facet right here. So I'm going to add a chole to that, and we're going to give it away on here Friday night. Still make somebody a great little knife. I'm not making a sheath for it. Do with it what you will. But yeah, and it's just kind of a memory of where it started and what it got to. Just so you know, guys, the Joke Wolf now is a little bigger as far as it's not much longer, but I added a little bit of, I made it a little more substantial because this is just a little 3-finger. Now, once I add the chole, I'll actually be able to get 4 fingers on it, but there's not a whole lot of blade left. But yeah, we're gonna give that away.
And it's not a copy. It doesn't have any similarities in handle. Look what Cheeto said. He thinks you're financing me knives. So I guess you kind of are. I think it's called layaway.
Yeah.
It's called tying up Shane's money, but I know when he's ready to.
I wouldn't care to give it away now, but understand that if I go to add that chole and something bad happens and it's garbage, then somebody's going to be upset. That's why I said, well, maybe we'll just wait. But it's black micarta with Tiffany blue liners. It's not great. But if y'all want to give it away now with the understanding that something could go horribly wrong, I don't care. But I thought I'd also give John the chance to advertise it if he wants to.
Dude, what I don't want to do, I want the same people to come in and have a chance. I don't want other, you know how I feel about advertising giveaways. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's a great way to get people in your lives.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it.
But I think if it was me, I would say do your thing on it so you feel good about it, right?
Yeah, I don't. The last thing I would want to do is be stressed out and feel horrible that.
And that's why I say that, because I know your brain.
Yeah, let me grind that chole in and make it better. And I'll send it to Kyle when I'm done and have him put a razor edge on it, and then it'll come to you. I'm not making a sheath for it. Don't ask. But yeah,
that's his first comment. But look at his second one before you.
Also, I accept the giveaway win. Yeah, I honestly don't know where the rest of them went. I made 6 of these and wasn't happy with them. I sent a couple
in your shop somewhere.
I sent a couple to Kyle, and he sent them back to me. He's like, "Dude, these aren't sellable," and he was right. So, yeah, the only reason this exists, I've never freehand ground anything ever. I do everything on a jig. And this was already hollow ground. It was already ruined. So I thought, I'll try to freehand regrind that. Now, it's not perfect, but I was impressed that I was able to turn a hollow grind into a flat grind, and it's not bad. So
it looks great. I'm still trying to think how I'm gonna, because I know how I'm gonna feel, because that's all my channel's about. I don't do cut tests. I don't do shit. I talk about how knives I think of them. And I know I'm going to be excited about it. And I'm trying to, because I don't want to kick sand at anybody, but I don't know how I can objectively talk about the knife and not, because I know how my brain works, go into that.
Just back, John. I don't want to be by myself.
Oh, I didn't. What I did? Leave you up there?
Yeah.
No wonder I was feeling so calm.
Maddie, I did get your message. I messaged like 4 people frantically because I was at the post office, and I appreciate it. You're all of you answered about the same time. So yeah, Cole's prick is on its way to him. I had a really good, productive day, man. Things happened today. I got stuff done today. I probably had the best week of knife sales that I've had. Everything's just gone really good.
Dude, that's just so encouraging. I mean,
that's why I want to do this. I want to give it, like I said, don't judge my knife making by this. I have progressed since this, but
know you're getting
if somebody
OG collector's item.
Right. Yeah. And this
I can imagine
this was also heat treated by Brian Kim, so there's that don't exist anymore in my knives anyway. So
Joe, did you send that to my Instagram? That's what I was just looking for. Where'd you send it? I was just on Instagram looking for that. Cool little knife for schnitzel. Cool little knife for packages. I'm just going to say it because it's the only other thing I cut really is cat food. Dude, those are great little knives. And if y'all don't.
Paul Mills, that's actually not true. Sawtooth never holographed. These were from like, how many months ago was that? 8 months ago? Sawtooth never touched these. I tried to hollow grind them and realized my wheel wasn't big enough. So the hollow grind only came up like half the blade. It just didn't look right. And they weren't finished well. I was still learning. So no, this was never just, I hollow ground it and realized that I didn't do a good job. And I literally just found this laying on the table today, and I was like, hey, here's one of my joke wolves. So I tried to fix the
I almost just ended the stream on my mobile. I'm trying to leave so I can go get Joe's text. Hold on. How do you get out of a mobile freaking close it out? Will that make it go away? I'm just going to kill it. All right.
This knife did lead to the hologram, the Sawtooth Dave hologram K390 ones, thanks to you. That knife, I would have never made any more of these had you not wanted one. So I appreciate it. That means you wouldn't have one, Snot Rag wouldn't have one, Javon wouldn't have one, Cheeto wouldn't have one. I think
Joe, don't send it to IG. I just took my phone off the holder. Now I'm on your text. You told me you couldn't send it to IG.
There's at least still one K390 Joke Wolf left available. So.
Guys, the Thug is super cool. The Joke Wolf for me, because I really fucked up the Midnight Jack Pixie. I think that's what it was called. Yeah. But I thought it was a cool knife. And I'll say, I think this is a cool knife, but this is a $70 knife.
Right.
But I talk about what I think about knives. I don't think about the same things like what I'm getting versus what I could get, because I'm a simple kind of an idiot guy who just does things he kind of likes. But I'm really interested how I bet that video is going to be very interesting.
Which video?
The one I'm going to do on the Joke Wolf, because like I said, that's going to be one where I've got to, because I consider Ben a friend or acquaintance friend. I like Ben.
He's a good guy, man.
I don't want him to think I'm giving him shit, but at the same time, I would think that's almost being petty if he thinks that.
Right.
Because it's a Joke Wolf. It's not a joke.
And I don't have titanium bolsters and shredded carbon fiber. I think I have better steel, but yeah.
You got better steel. You got a handmade American knife.
Right. It's not the same thing. Oh, got good news for you, John.
What's up, buddy?
I don't know. I probably should have asked if you were okay with me talking about it, but I'd already mentioned that I'm about to start, in the very near future, I'm about to start the prototype for your design.
Awesome.
So I ordered my first bought stick of MagnaCut.
Dude, you're gonna try it out for me. I love it.
Yep.
I love it. Yeah, guys, I wasn't gonna say anything, and it's not a secret, and y'all are all the same people I see all the time. But Shane and I had been talking, and I've got kind of things that I like about fixed blades, simple things, different things that people might or might not like. But I wanted to get one. So I'm gonna have a fixed blade that we're gonna try to see if people like it. I think it's gonna be very cool, different. And I know with Shane making it, it's gonna be definitely special. So
I've had a few people reach out about that. Cheeto's designing a little bird and trout right now that we're going to do something on. And then Terry sent me a design that I really want to do, but he added an aspect that I don't know how to do. Typically, when you talk about a plunge, when you say a sweeping plunge, it means that the plunge sweeps into the bevel. That's not what his does. His plunge starts at the edge of the knife and curls up to the spine.
So it goes from the bottom back end of the blade up to the spine?
Yeah, at an arch. And I don't know how to do that yet, but the problem is that design, if I did a normal straight up and down plunge, it would ruin the knife. That knife needs that grind, and I'm not sure how to do it yet. So I feel bad that I wasn't able to just tell Terry, heck yes, let's do this, because I don't know how to do. I mean, I've seen it done, so I know it's possible. I've actually had it happen to me. It's kind of like this knife. You see how the plunge sweeps up? It's not straight up and down.
Yeah. Yeah, it sweeps from
Yeah, and
that's kind of what he's looking for, right?
Yeah, it's a good looking knife, but it would not be a good looking knife with a straight up and down plunge.
Terry, I'm just waiting for the pictures I just downloaded to make it to my iCloud. Then I'm going to show the videos. Then I'm going to show them. So I have not forgotten you, brother.
And Terry, I also need
Matter of fact, I'll just go to Instagram. Fuck it.
I'm going to take this opportunity to let you know I've got a small batch of my Homestead, which is just a very basic drop point outdoors use knife that I'm planning to take to some shows. Because that tends to be the more popular thing at these like homesteading and prepping shows. And when I get those done, since I've been pushing Joe on the sheaths for the Thug, I'm going to send those to you. I'm going to send those to you to make sheaths for those before I hit the circuit this summer.
Well, that's the other thing that I think make your designs so special is the collaboration that you're getting an edgy American knife, but it's being touched by a lot of people that to me make them priceless.
Yeah, like Stevie was talking about, his knife it was me, Brian F., Kyle, Satu Dave, Lancelot Leather. There's so many. I think I'm missing one, but so many people involved in Stevie's Thug, and and the same with most people's Thugs. But depending on where you get your sheath. But but it's not. I can do this, Amsler. I don't know how to do that curved. I've got a grinder in my shop right now. And it's been this way since I got it. When I grind one bevel, it'll be a perfect straight up down plunge. And when I flip it around to do the other side, it's always a perfect curved plunge. But I don't know why it does it. I wish I could make both sides do it, because then I could make Terry's knife. But that, I've done Mad Yoko's knife has a 45-degree plunge.
Do you know Amsler knives?
I know. Isn't he the one that made the little streak scalpel?
He makes bigger ones too. He's made the pinion and that, but mount the blade at an angle, the plunge will be straight on your jig. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about though. But it would be a straight 45.
Oh, gotcha. It wouldn't have the sweep.
I did that on Mad Yoko's design, and it worked out great. But I just don't know how to. I don't know how to curve it like that. I've only had it happen on accident.
And you still don't know how that happened, do you?
No. I've ground 3 knives on that grinder, and all 3 of them are junk because one side, the plunge is a straight up and down perfect line, and the other one, and it's beautiful, the way it sweeps, but I can't duplicate it.
There's got to be who would be a good pair. Who does those that you know? Because I mean, it seems like if somebody told you something, me knowing you, you'd have a light bulb go off in your head, and you go, "Oh shit!" And you could recreate it.
After that, is it a hollow grind on that blade? It's a. Guess if it's a hollow grind or a flat platen. I'm confused. Terry's knife would be a flat grind. And I know what you're getting at, Amser, because I know it has something to do with the platen to make that curl. But I'm not experienced enough yet to know how to do it. That's what I'm getting at. But yeah, I loved Amsler's that little street scalpel. I actually started to make those, and he's the reason why I didn't. I don't know him, but it's not just out of respect for what he does, but it's also because I don't think I could make them near as nice as he can. So I decided not to touch it. And I don't mean I was going to copy it. I mean, make a scalpel type knife like that. But I think he knocks them out of the park. So I'm going to leave that alone.
Find another model.
I have decided that piece of S90V, I am going to heat treat it, and I'm going to make, and it may be horrible, but I'm going to make a knuckle, like a little knuckle blade. So like you'll put your finger through it, and you'll have like 2 inches of blade sticking off. It'd be great for certain applications, but I'm going to try it just because it's a piece of S90V and I don't want to waste it.
So when you say a nut, like would it be a single, like a 2-nuck with the blade, kind of the?
It'd just be one. The piece of steel is only this long, so I've got enough room to put a hole in it where you can hold it, put your finger through it to hold it, and then it'll have a little sharpened edge right underneath your finger.
That'll be cool, dude.
Yeah.
So I got this link up there. This is an Amsler full size Hurricane. They've got about 4 or 5 sizes. I've got a mini. And
that's why I don't make that. I couldn't make it as good as he does, and I certainly couldn't make it better. So if that's what you want, I would highly recommend buying it from Amsler.
And check out his new one. I sent Paul Mills one of these, but this is called the Pinion, and this was actually done before another Pinion, just if anybody's curious. But it is a little piece of Magna Cut.
Yeah.
It is super slicey, super small, right? But what's cool about it, you might not be able to see, it's got a little bit driver, if you'd ever use it. And it's got a little kind of pry end.
You do some line with the sheath on.
Yeah, you could do that with the sheath on, and the sheath's retention is sick, and it's a little lightweight neck knife. Super cool.
Terry, we didn't discuss it, but at the moment, I don't have a large enough wheel to do that hollow grind on that knife. So the only way I could do it would be flat. But... Oh yeah, he's saying there. Let me see the plunge on that.
Yeah, let me show you this plunge. I can put it.
Yeah, I think that's I can do that. But what I'm talking
about sweeping it more up towards the tip.
It's C-shaped.
From the heel to the tip that ends on the spine.
From the edge, it arches in a perfect sweeping.
Show Amsler that knife that you showed that Tucson or whichever one has that kind of similar look.
This one has it, but I don't know how they did it. See, that's not straight. That sweeps.
And I wonder if that's something. I guess you could do anything by hand.
Terry's design is actually not. It's not this drawn out, so it's more of an acute sweep. It looks really good on the design, but
would that make sense?
I don't know what Tyler's saying. I don't know what those words mean, Tyler. C-shaped platen. I know there's things you can do off the side of your platen, and I do have a platen that is rolled on the edges, but I don't know how to do that yet, is what I'm getting at. Look up Boker's Silk. Those were some of the first knives I designed.
Are they on your page, buddy? And I forget your first name, and I shouldn't be calling you Amser Tools. My bad.
Yeah, they make platens.
Here it is right here. All right, check this out.
And stuff, and that may be the secret, but I don't have that yet.
I don't know how to make it big, but check this little. This is that knife that.
And I'm sure there are things that a CNC can do that, that I'll never be able to do. But
can y'all see that at all?
Yeah, I like that.
I
liked on that pinion that he added that O-ring. I don't know that it would do anything for traction, but I like the idea just because it gives me just like on that. He's got two. It
does. And what I was going to say is you get a bag with all the O-rings. So you can put O-rings all the way up and down it and remove the clip depending on how you want to use it.
I like that idea. Just if for nothing else, it gives me a place to index. I can get familiar with where that O-ring should land. Yeah.
Look at these little guys.
See, that one's got that. Well,
that's kind of got a curve, doesn't it? No,
yeah, that's pretty close. It seems like they're a little different though. The one on the far right.
Yeah, this one looks different. But they're all hand done too.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how to do that yet.
That one's straight. But yeah, they're neat little knives. The reason you get the extra rings is if you're just going to wear it as a neck knife, you really don't need the clip. What I did when I was working corporate, I would carry this in my shirt pocket, just like a ballpoint pen.
Right.
But you can get all different, and you can get different blade shapes too. Or you could.
I don't know that, Hamza. I'm just saying, I know if I was having it CNC'd, that would probably be more possible. But I'm assuming.
Yeah, take care, buddy. Enjoy your day. Be safe.
I'm assuming yours weren't machined because I could see a little bit of variance in them. And the one that had the sweeping plunge, I liked more.
Are your yeah, I don't know how they're done. I just know this one's S35, and I've got a mini with 80 splatter paint that's MagnaCut, and I've never had to put an edge on them. And I've used these. What these are great for me is you ever get those? I bought a stupid Glock BB pistol.
Yeah.
And they come in that clam plastic shit that always cuts your finger off. It's just the most horrible packaging. Right. These are great for that. I mean, you can just go right around the edge and open that thing up.
Not every knife is great for that.
All right, let's go to Etsy. Y'all don't go to Amser Tool. Well, I think he's got a link to his other stuff there. And he's got a killer Instagram too.
Every time I think of pinion, I think of the pinion gear in a rear differential, but that's even more impressive, Amser. So you're telling me that all that work that's done, you're doing all that on a grinder. You're not having anything like either CNC'd or wire EDM before you do the grind.
Only have grinders, no CNC. That's amazing, dude. I didn't even know that. How do you get those bevels on those small bevels all the way around it?
Yeah.
So here is, I run dual banjos, KMG, and a TW9. Do you know what those are?
I have no idea. As a lot of things in the metalworking world, I don't know.
But the good thing is you've got a group of people around you who you meet every day, and you know who can help you, right?
Yeah. 100 grit, 200, and 400 tries that.
Here you go. Here's the little Warney scalpel. I wish I had one of those.
I love Warncliffe, man.
I do too, dude. I think that's just.
I've hunted the majority of my life, so I appreciate a knife with belly for caping and stuff. But I just love the look of a Warncliffe. Maybe that's what I'll do with my first folder, guys. Maybe I'll just take this thing apart, take this blade out, figure out how to do the stop pin track, and reblade this thing.
So how would you do that now? Or are you being sarcastic? Because I'm too dumb to know.
Oh, it can be done. Donnie does it every day. He does it with a router.
Donnie's got some kind of alien in him. I mean, he doesn't seem to be like think it's that special, but isn't he kind of like almost on another savant level?
He really is. You and not everybody would understand it, but when he shows those videos of him putting a piece of metal under that run out dial or dial indicator, whatever you call it, and that needle just barely even vibrates. Guys, to do that by hand is just mind blowing.
So tell me what that means. You've got two scales maybe, or two sides that are the same thickness. Is that what you're measuring? Thickness or
measuring to make sure it's perfectly flat. What that needle comes down and touches it, and if there's any variance, it'll read in thousandths of how much variance there is. And there's never, I won't say any because that's not true, but there is a micro amount of variance and stuff that he made by hand. I mean, it's hard to achieve what he's doing with good machinery, much less by hand. That's why I think Donnie's knives are worth every penny. Now, if you don't care about that, I understand, but you'd almost have to care about that and appreciate that to buy.
Yeah. You and again, like I was talking about, I think before you joined, Shane, everybody's valid if they justify the value to themselves, right? If I can justify the value of a $12,000 knife and can afford it, it's a good value to me. Where somebody else might crazy. And if I find a $10 Ozark, this does what I need it to, and it's a good value to me, it's a good value to me. But when I watched him make that lock bar insert for Scotch, because Scotch wanted one, because Scotch is such a pain in the ass and is wrong on a lot of sides of facts, but that's another story. He had made that lock bar, and that's amazing stuff. I mean, just the how small what you're working with, and that you're working with files.
I don't like that, John. What people don't understand, you can't stick that to the grinder.
No.
A fraction of a second too long, it's ruined. He's hand filing and hand sanding all that stuff to make it work and fit perfectly. It really is impressive.
Very much.
Even if he's an asshole, it's impressive that he can do what he does. And he told me one time, he's like, "I'm not special. I'm just patient."
Just out of curiosity, how long approximately has Donnie been fucking around with knives or perfecting making knives?
I don't
he
even know.
He showed his first one last night on Pocket Metals. He showed the first.
I don't think he's been making pocket or folding knives for more than a year or two.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
That's true, Jeffrey. Value and cheap aren't synonymous.
That makes sense, Tyler. I never, and that especially makes sense because on that grinder, the belt, the tracking's not good, and so if you're pulling the knife in one direction, the belt will actually come off the platen a little bit. That makes perfectly good sense. It's just because the grinder is wore out and my belt is shifting when I go from right to left, but not left to right. So that means one side would have, okay. I'll try that then. I've got plenty of stuff that I got plenty of metal I can attempt it on. Now, making it match from one side to the other, I'm sure it's just a matter of there being...
You getting comfortable with it and understanding how to do it. Once you do, you might make two that aren't perfect, and then you'll be dialed in because you...
What causes the sweep is the fact that the knife on the jig is at an angle, so that belt hanging off is going to contact right at the edge, and then as it comes off the platen, there's going to be less pressure, so it's going to... That makes sense. Thanks, Tyler. So maybe I can't. At least now, Terry and Tyler, I know where to start and figure it out. Having a drink, practicing chord changes. Got the lock bar insert because Donnie made a mistake.
I'm going to give you a W on that one, Scotch.
Yeah.
And I'm not even gonna re. The only point I was making.
Talk about something that can't be argued. Post Malone's fucking Oreo cookie is the most delicious thing I've ever eaten.
What's in it? I've never seen it, but
I don't even know, dude. It's like it's one chocolate and one vanilla wafer or cookie. Hang on, swirled salted caramel and shortbread flavor cream.
Yum.
These things.
Oh, you got swirled cream in there. So you've got shortbread cream swirled in with that.
This package is empty because if you buy them and a cold glass of milk, it will become empty very quickly. These are delicious.
Go Post.
Yeah.
Scotch, what a win, dude.
Don't like it, ship the rest of them to me. I'll take it. They were so abrasive last night, I didn't even stay. I came in and they were talking about, I was laughing because he made you rage quit. And then Dottie was telling me that I'm too big a piece of shit. I should have never had kids. And I'm like, I'm just going to bounce.
I didn't rage quit. I got thrown backstage for like the 10th time. And I was like, fucking Taco Bell, man, this is fate. Yeah. Plus, if I was going to argue with somebody, I was going to argue with that bitch at the window. And she said, we close. I'm like, the fuck you are.
Yeah.
I'm a Google's partner. I'm about to call them and tell them to pull your fucking Google my business.
Scotch, I got a text from Mr. Sunstrick today that made me feel pretty good, man. I just had a really positive day, dude. Just one of the best days I've had in a while.
Well, it's taking a turn for the worst.
I hope to have many more like this.
Screw you, Javon.
I'm kidding, Kyle.
I know.
There he is.
What's happening, gentlemen?
No shit, Gary. Make Walmart 24 hours.
What's going on?
All right, who's that? Let me find out what this is about.
Yeah, who is that?
I need to look him up. Let me go back up because that's a conversation going on between Todd and Toyota.
Who's doing that?
Check him out and Google him. I have my doubts as well. I'm getting close. Allegedly, blah, blah, blah.
I'm glad you didn't say that out loud. You know you can't say that word on YouTube, right?
What word?
Grape.
What that guy, grape. Yeah, what that guy was accused of. Don't ever say that.
Yeah, YouTube's weird about stuff like that. And what's weird is,
Tactical. I think Bones Tactical reached out to me about making some of my knives in Pakistan for me, if I ain't mistaken.
Good luck with that.
This is what I was working on today, John. This is Tree Stabbing Troy's XL Goon in 4V 3/16.
oh my God.
It's 3/16 of an inch thick, and I wanted it to be slicey, unlike his chopper he bought. This is the biggest pain in the ass. I'm about 65% through it after 6 hours of work.
And that's just grinding, straight grinding?
Just grinding. I probably $100 worth of belts. Poof, up a wild hog's ass. I literally depleted my belt inventory today, and I'm still not done. Oh, that's a cool name, though, man. Bone Tactical. But you know what? He's not the only guy doing that, man. There's tons of people, because they make it so easy for you. They'll make you a knife for about $40, and they'll make it look elaborate, but you can sell it for a couple $100 on wherever.
I've got it right here. I'm just waiting for. All right, everybody, shut the F up, and we're going to show you something cool that Brother Joe Isabella is working on. Because I've got it pulled up, but I get sidetracked. Joe knows I go by it honestly. Can y'all see that? I don't know how to make these little videos bigger.
Weirdly, though, you don't really have that many pictures of knives on his Instagram.
Looking at this.
Yoda, am I out the right one? This one's Bone_Tactical. Maybe that's not the guy you are talking about.
Joe, that is thick. What'd you use for the barrel?
I think I'm on the wrong page.
We're not sharing. I'm sharing.
For sure.
Is that micarta? It looks like caramel micarta on the bottom and wood. Fat carbon. I see copper.
Is this Joe Isabella?
Yes, that's Joe Isabella, what he's working on now.
That's beautiful work, man.
Doesn't he do beautiful work? I mean, look, that's almost like a fidget desk cool thing. Look at that little tank. We've got so many talented people in here, which just makes me feel less and less like a man every day, but I can deal with it. I'm androgynous.
John, it's just because they got bored and tried something and enjoyed it, so they just kept doing it.
But that sounds logical enough, but I don't possess that type of dexterity at all.
I don't either. I have every excuse in the world. I should not be making knives.
Jane, you've been able to do stuff for yourself, like handy wise. You're a handy guy before you.
Yeah, but you're talking about as far as dexterity goes. I'm the last guy that should be doing anything like this.
Well, dexterity is probably maybe the skill set. I think I would lose fingers very quickly.
Nah, you'd figure it out.
Well, don't tease me because I'll come down there, dude. You got to remember, I don't have a lot of shit going on. I'll be down there.
You guys not remember last summer when every time I came on, there was scabs all over my knuckles, and I burned myself tonight. It's right there. There's just a blister there. It'll be a sore in a couple of days. But
Hellcat utility.
Months with no meat on the end of my. I'd be pulling the knife across and just run my knuckles across a 36 grit ceramic pellet.
That does not sound like it's very fun.
It's not, but I bought a $22 pair of gear goatskin leather gloves.
That is a slick looking knife. That's a full size booger.
What knife we talking about now?
The Bark River Hellcat utility in 4V.
I bet it ain't 67 HRC 4V though.
Let's see.
Kyle, what's that 4V like to work with? The very same 4V I'm talking about I was grinding today. What's that like to work with? Kyle?
He walked off. I see a shadow.
Sorry.
Kyle, what's that 4V like to work with that I sent you?
Like on Troy's?
Yeah.
An absolute nightmare.
I spent 6 hours and over $100 today, and I'm not done grinding that knife. And this is the really sad part. Free. I didn't charge him for that knife because I had a chunk over from his order. And, hey man, I'll make you a goon while I'm at it. And I thought, well, his other knife is shop. I want him to experience how good I can make the knife cut.
Because he is.
I am not. I am cutting up stuff. I'm getting ready to hand sand. That's why I'm. Yeah, that's why I was so pissed at you when you sent me Dawson's knife without a bevel, and I had to cut that in on that M4. Hell, it took me 2 hours on the first fucking stone.
Yeah.
There is no I in we. That's what you call teamwork.
I've learned now when I get done grinding,
Joe, that's outstanding,
it's not
dude.
between 5 and 10 thousandths, which means I can't even see a plateau. Like if I can't see a flat spot at all, then Kyle will probably have a pretty decent day. If I can see a flat spot, I'll go at it.
Well, I mean,
Kyle, what's the thickest spine you can put in a fixed angle like TS Prof?
shit. Probably depends on the clamp. Probably.
Like a Medford?
Oh, easily. I mean, I was going to say probably up to almost a half an inch.
So you'd have to get special clamps for that, though, wouldn't you?
No. Most of the clamps will be able to handle
I
that.
don't think you can get a 3/16 in the Workshop Precision Adjust, can you?
Well, those ones from Troy were 3/16.
Yeah, but you didn't do them on a Workshop, did you?
No, but I'm saying I had plenty of room left over. I wasn't even stretched all the way out.
Right.
All right, proof of point. Look, there's sandpaper. There's more marks. I am sanding you, dickheads.
Fucking Cheeto. I love Cheeto, man.
If you put it under the camera, it'd be more convincing.
You guys really have no idea
I'll have it clamped down so it's hard to.
I'm kidding.
How many bad days I've gotten through simply because of Cheeto's voicemail. That message he left me has gotten me through so many bad days and made good days better. I bet you I've listened to that 1,000. Y'all have all heard it 1,000 times, and I have to scroll forever now to find it because it's way up at the top of our conversation. But that and change. It still hasn't lost its edge.
True, Palmer.
Palmer, that's a good one, buddy.
That is a good one. You can't say much.
I
I didn't say much to Scotch when he got me.
I found something that is excellent at making finger trolls. Not necessarily sharpening tool, but I just bought a cheap air die grinder. I bought a little piece that goes in it that's a 1-inch drum, and I bought little 1-inch ceramic sandpaper drums that slide over it and they tighten down. And it takes me 2 minutes to cut a full finger troll with one. Now, a small wheel on a 2x72 would take me 30 seconds, but I don't have to do any of the 4.5-inch grinder cutting. I can just lay that thing down, apply a little pressure, and it cuts a beautiful, nicely polished, perfect semi-circle finger troll.
And what is that? It's just a little it's like a Dremel, but not a Dremel.
It's
an air Dremel, basically.
It's an air Dremel, but it takes bigger fittings. It takes 1/4-inch fittings instead of the little one.
The little ones that can break. Yeah, I got you. It's more industrial.
Yeah, I mean, I've owned 10 of them. I use them every day. Like if you take a part, a rear differential cover off to work on it before you go to put it back on. I'd take my die grinder and a Scotch-Brite disc and clean up all the old glue. You chews through all the gasket material. They spin really fast. And I bet you, this guy. You go on Amazon and you can buy like the half-inch. I got a drum laying right here.
Yeah, it takes a larger collet though.
Yeah, this is 1 inch, and then on Amazon you can buy the little sleeves that slide over it. You turn the nut, which compacts it and makes it swelled, holds the sandpaper on there. That's what I use to cut my finger tools now.
And you just add pressure slowly till it gets in there because it keeps it the right roundness. That's the right size.
Yeah, because when it hits the blade, it just cuts a perfect semicircle into the metal.
What is it? Is that 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour? I know it depends on steel, but
I do that pre-heat treat, and it takes me 2 minutes per troll.
Really?
I used to spend a half an hour trying to make a decent troll, and it wasn't symmetrical. It never looked good like I did. This is all troll. Kept me from buying a 2x72. The only reason I don't need it right now is because I have this and an air die grinder.
And you'll continue to figure out things like that cut your processes down incrementally, or not incrementally, huge.
Right.
Yeah, Paul, I bought the shittiest drill.
Die grinders are gross uses of CFMs. It takes a lot of air to run a die grinder.
Yeah, you better have a large tank.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of battery-powered ones out there now. Ones you can plug into a wall. I've discovered, though, with the plug-in electric stuff, just like my 4.5 grinder, they're too much. There's just too much power. I prefer either air or battery-powered because, like I haven't used my plug-in 4.5-inch grinder with a cutting wheel. Not one time that it shattered, sling a piece of it across the room. I've not broken a single wheel using the battery power.
Does an air compressor let it turn slower?
Well, because it's air powered, if you bind it, it'll just stop.
Because it doesn't have as much juice behind it.
It doesn't have as much torque. Yeah.
Damn, this polish is so nice, Shane.
What is it?
It's that 4-8.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I'm doing that last one.
Dude, I want so bad to open Stevie's Ford out and look at it, but I know if I do, I'll buy some. So I refuse to open the envelope. I'm just going to put it in the box, ship it off. I'm not even going to look. I'll get to see it at Blake.
See, you're taking a step in the right direction from your scale hoarding. You learned something the other night.
I've got a drawer at the shop, guys, that is 4 feet long, 2 feet deep, and a foot tall, and that thing is packed full of unnecessary scale material. Late at night, if I can't sleep, I'm browsing scale material.
So there is just normal.
But
there is polished.
Well, I know, Kyle, that none of it I've done looks.
Let me make you big for a second, Kyle. I want you to flip that again because I don't know if it showed up good.
Yeah, it's just kind of it's a little bit of a flatter finish before you
More matte.
Yeah. There it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
very good. In case you guys don't know what 4-Dot is, that paint right there, that's what that is paint. It's many layers of paint out of the Mopar factory from the 70s when they were building muscle cars. Some guy was smart enough to take that paint buildup and take it home with him and now sells it in big chunks. Like it would be 2 inches thick. And once it's gone, it'll never exist again because they don't make.
It's recycled, reclaimed.
Yeah, paint's not even made the same. It's water based now. So once
that shit, the EPA put a stop to that real quick.
Yeah, I will say this, guys. I use it on these small fixies because it is not the toughest material in the world. It's not. I wouldn't put it on a big, heavy use outdoor knife, but it's beautiful. And it's plenty tough enough for a knife you've got in your pocket. You're just going to take out and cut something with and put it back. Stevie can tell you what I'd put on a knife if I was worried about it being tough.
Micarta? No.
It'd be black jute micarta. That jute micarta is absurdly tough. Well, I'm sorry, I found something tougher. Paul Mills' carbon fiber was not just tougher.
What's up, Rocky?
Carbon fiber destroys everything you touch with it.
Yeah. It goes through sandpaper like nothing.
I was watching
this stuff was amazing, Shane. You gotta get some of this.
What is that?
I forgot the guy who makes
two
very good
micron wet dry.
Oh.
But he says that carbon fiber is a fickle bitch. He says it's real hard on tools when you're drilling it, but it's also can shatter. Have you ever had that problem?
It can chip when you drill it. It chips. You get little micro chips around the edge of the hole. I learned that, but it's probably because it has ruined the drill bit as the drill bit was passing through it. That's probably why by the time it comes out the other side, it's chipping because the drill bit's ruined.
It's blowing out the back end because
it didn't just ruin my bandsaw blade. It ruined my bandsaw. I cut 4 inches of carbon. It ripped the guts out of it. Like pieces fell out. And it sparks when you cut it, just like cutting metal. There's sparks coming off of it. It's stupid tough.
I apologize, Shane. That's 9 micron.
Oh. Yeah, I will work with it again, but the problem is not only is it going to have to be an upcharge for the carbon fiber, there's not to be an upcharge for using it because it cost me. Paul's knife probably cost me well over $100. We got the bandsaw rebuilt, but we had parts for it.
I'll apologize.
That may be the key because I tried it with a wood cutting blade, destroyed it instantly. Then cut it with a metal cutting blade, destroyed the blade, destroyed the saw, destroyed 2 drill bits. Yeah.
It will combust with heat. That's interesting, Joe. I bet that wasn't a fun lesson to learn. It's a mystery material because didn't
No,
when it
oh,
first
you don't need to apologize, dude. That was, you know, I don't know if I've shared this, but I know I told you not like this. I didn't charge you guys anything to make. I didn't make any money off of your knives. The only way I recouped any money was from some of the leftover steel. But and I needed that experience. Yeah, no need to apologize.
You got learning experience out of it, though.
Yeah. And I would use it again. I understand why it's so popular. It is really good shit. But
are there materials that would cut it better, that would be better for working with it? Do they make anything specialized for it?
Richard Hopkins says to use a glass cutting blade.
Let me find it. I just saw that.
Blade for a bandsaw. Probably can, but
Joe cuts with diamonds. And where did I see that glass?
see, I've got a diamond cutting wheel, but I don't know. I'm not precise enough with a cutting wheel to be cutting a $68 piece of carbon fiber this big. It was literally one little chunk. It was almost $70. And it's not even 1/8 of an inch thick. It's super thin.
And they take different stuff and make that carbon fiber and press it together, or is it something that's naturally? I mean, I don't know anything about how that stuff's made.
Apparently, it's just resin and some type of glass filament, and the glass is what causes the carbon fiber isn't sparking. Your blade is sparking because the carbon fiber is chewing your blade up. That's where the sparks are coming from.
But it sounds like
weave, though.
Joe caught some on fire from those sparks. It actually burned.
It depends on the weave, though, too. I mean, sometimes when it's cross, it's actually even tougher.
Yeah, that was crosscut. I'm pretty sure that Paul bought. It didn't have the weave pattern in it. Yeah, and maybe there's a better drill bit. Maybe you should use a carbide bit. I don't know. Like I said, it's all a learning process, but I have to. If I do another one, I'm going to figure it out.
Have you ever heard of a G10 manufacturer called GS and Sons?
I don't.
G. Hansen and Sons.
Yeah, G. Hansen and Sons. Have you heard of them?
Are they making G10 in the United States?
Check this out.
Because
I don't know. This didn't come from the United States, but I thought it was micarta.
I'm finding G10 for sale by American companies. But
does that not look like paper micarta or linen micarta?
Yeah. Well, G10's got a fiber in it too.
It's so soft, dude.
Yeah.
I'd never seen it before. Because when I did the overview, I thought it was micarta. I would have sworn it was micarta.
Well, I don't remember. I don't think it's 160. You asked me that at one point, and we looked it up.
What, the stock, blade stock, or the handles?
That carbon fiber.
No, they come in. It's 0.125. It's an 1/8 inch.
Oh, okay. My bad, then. I thought it was even an 8. But I know we had that conversation before, and I thought it was thinner than it actually was.
Yeah, fat carbon you can get typically only comes in quarter or 1/8 inch, one of the two.
Okay. My bad. I misspoke then.
I mean, that knife was slightly thinner than the Fordite ones.
Right. Well, I cut the Fordite myself on a high-end bandsaw, and I cut those about 3/16. I cut them a little thicker than 1/8.
And that's good to know and scary at the same time.
I thought about that too. I thought, man, I could take this carbon fiber over there and cut it on that $10,000 bandsaw, and then I would never be welcome back. So no, I'm not going to do that.
You would burn your proverbial bridge.
I would. If I had to
burn up that bandsaw.
If I had to do it again, I would probably just buy one of those little tiny arbors for the cutting wheels that go on a Dremel, and just do it that way. I guess. I don't know.
Joe, yeah, you can get it in 3/16, but it's not very common.
Do a lot of people that do more production stuff, do they use CNCs to cut that carbon fiber out?
I'm assuming, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would think so too.
That, or they may be wire EDMing it or water jet cut. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think. I think
I brought that up because that G10 that I used on Iggy's knife is beautiful. And I bought it from a company out of California. But then when I got the confirmation email, I think they forgot to hit translate because it came in Chinese. So I was really upset because I thought I'd found a place to buy some really cool stuff. I can't find it. I found it on AliExpress for about $6 to $8 cheaper than he's selling it. So I'm sure that's where he's getting it. But it's just upsetting. I don't know that anybody makes G10 in the United States.
Yeah, Google says G10 is manufactured by several companies, including Aculam, Ultra X, and Current Inc. And
Really?
the reason, and I'll share this with you, Shane, after the live, but the reason I thought that they probably did is, TRM uses a lot of G10.
Yeah.
And the only material that they source from other countries is their carbon fiber, which they source from Lithuania because they can't get that here.
Right.
Well, Fat Carbon is made in Lithuania. That the company Fat Carbon is based in Lithuania.
I'm going to share this with you right here real quick. And we can investigate it and learn.
Paul, no, I haven't, but I'm also doing it by hand. So
have you ever heard of either of these three companies, Current Inc. or
that Ultrex?
Ultrex.
I think Alpha Knife Supply sells it. But my point is, I can't get the pattern and colors that I want from these companies.
Then I have different companies. This looks like it doesn't have any colors.
Yeah, that's all very plain.
Well, they do more.
That's probably like industrial use shit. Probably
No,
not.
what's this?
They also
What's this?
do. I say they do more of like orders for suppliers. They're not selling to the public. I don't believe.
Yeah, I
we
can
can
get
find
all.
their suppliers. Does any of that stuff look good?
Yeah, it's just not the stuff I was really looking for. Really different.
Okay,
Let's go look at these other two companies.
These from Valley Composites. I don't think they can see me, Doug.
That's because those Chinese. Hold on, let me make sure I got to make you. Let me make this go away.
I absolutely love this, but apparently it's coming out of China, and I can't find it anywhere else.
Joe, when you get that force eye on the way, send me a picture. I'm curious to see what it looks like in person. That stuff looks great.
Let's go to Aculam and see what there's.
Oh, are you saying an ad just popped up right in the middle of the live? Like the live just stopped and an ad popped up?
Karen had one pop up, or Kathleen had one pop up earlier too.
I've got YouTube Premium. I could never go without YouTube Premium at this point.
I made the mistake of doing it for a trial for 30 days where I didn't see ads, and now it's gone back. And dude, if I could afford it, I would do it.
What's weird, and I'm sure it can probably be shared, but the YouTube in our living room does not have YouTube Premium on it. So if I'm in there with them, I'm watching like, what are all these stupid commercials? Because I haven't seen a commercial on YouTube in 2 years.
Well, I always do, monetize, but forever when I watched lives, I thought you just saw an ad at the beginning, or you saw an ad at the end.
Know if I post a video, I can go in and tell it. It asks me to have, ads in the middle. I can say yes or no. And I know this, if you say no, they're not going to push your video because they can't make as much money off of it.
No, if they say that doesn't assure that they're not going to show two ads, because the ad servers, Google Ads, who serves the actual impressions to YouTube videos, you just don't get paid on those. You get ads on your videos even if you're not monetized sometimes. Can you see these colors? This is that Current, and they've got everything from.
Hang on, I gotta pull up what Stevie's talking about.
Shane, you don't need any more.
Let me pull it up.
More
handles. Kyle, stop it. Make him
He doesn't need any more material.
No, I don't need any more material.
So don't look at it. Don't hurt yourself.
I'm gonna look.
Of course,
I used to say that
order it
too.
later. I don't remember ordering this.
Holy cow. Dude, that reminds me of Grateful Panic for some reason.
Let me find it.
That's some Grateful Panic looking shit if I've ever seen it right there.
I don't want it on my knife.
Shane,
I'm not looking at it yet. Why don't I see Stevie's?
These American Blade Work scales are finally wearing in. Color.
Did you make those, Kyle, or did somebody make them for you?
There you go, buddy.
Yeah, that looks way better. Actually, Michael Martin made those.
Yeah, he made these for me.
Kyle sent in the material, and Michael put it in his machine and cut them out for you. See, I really like that. I don't think I would want it on my knife, but it's
crosscut vintage.
Jeffrey.
I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it was this.
I think Shane fell guilty to that when he was at Blade Show because he wasn't looking at knives. He was just looking at pretty materials.
You know what, John? It was all garbage.
Was it?
Everything I bought.
But it all looked great. I remember because I was with you when you picked up a couple pieces.
And it all chipped, cracked, bro. It was super, super fragile.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, I've bought that same maple burl type stuff from Outcast Blanks. No issues.
Do you think there's
any... if those people have brought that stuff to Blade Show to get rid of it or what the deal was, but it was not the same quality as what I've got from mine.
And you would know that even though you were earlier in your knife making stages then, you still know the difference in how it feels, right?
Oh, it
was shitty.
As far as blocks, when I got them, they looked just like what I've got from Outcast Blanks. They felt the same. They cut the same, but then anytime you go to work with it, especially around holes, it'll just chip. The whole chunk will break off and fall out.
It's very crumbly.
I totally agree with that, Toyota and Tools. You can't tell anything from pictures really and I'm sure anything that's texture based at all.
That's like that coffee mug card I had. I think I'm out of it now. I might go back and look see if I can get some more. But the reason I loved it was it looks dirty. Like it was a coffee with a half a teaspoon of creamer in it, that kind of color. But it looked like it was grease stained in places. It was just like black. I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. It was very rustic and antique looking, but
Mills, I think it is, but it's crosscut, so that's why it has a little bit different look to it. This actually came from, I think this came from Pops, if I'm not mistaken.
Did you see Jeffrey Dawson's comment?
Yeah.
Such a. I got to get him his knives back as bad as I don't want to.
I'll make myself build for 1 second. This is my favorite carbon or micarta that I've got on a knife. This came from Tyler Denny at a Little Apprentice, but that's called Vintage Caramel micarta.
That's about the same color as what I had, but mine had it just looked like it had been used as a grease rag at one point in time. There was just some little black specks and smears.
And I've got blue and green lights, so it kind of jacks it up. But if you look at this in regular light, do you remember those little penny caramels you could get at the little? Y'all might be
the Brox.
Yeah,
the big round thing.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. It looks it looks the same texture. It doesn't. It feels like maybe if you left it in the freezer, if you found one at your grandma's house, like 4 years after you left it there, but it looks identical.
It's amazing what micarta will do as far as how it changes colors. Because look at that. That's what it started out naturally like. See that coloration there, and then look how much darker it turns.
And that's just from your natural oils, right?
I wasn't a fan, Kyle, at first.
I wasn't either. When I first got it, I was like, eh. And then as they wore in, they really turned.
Yeah.
And if you ever want to wear them in instantly, use some of Stevie's beard wax. You can use Wicked Wax, just real lightly.
Dude, I use Stevie's beard wax on my card all the time. I did it the first time on his, and a couple of knives I shipped out recently, I needed to oil the micarta, and I used it. Actually, I used his beard balm. I just put it on my finger.
It smells good too.
Yeah.
It makes sense because I typically use beeswax, but it's kind of the the same base or one of the bases, I believe.
Right.
So,
I'll share one of my afflictions. So I
Got
get a
buff,
greasy
though.
forehead, amongst other things. And if I get a micarta knife and it's real pasty looking, I'll rub my fucking head and I'll rub that knife and I'll rub my fucking head and I'll rub my knife and I'll rub my temples and I'll get that thing looking great. And I'm thinking, that's kind of gross.
Kinda.
Kinda. I can't wait to sell you one and not tell you that that's one that was grease coated.
Tell you that until I don't know how you keep it coarse. Like I understand if you get the thickness that you want, you just cut out the shape and bolt it on.
Scuff it.
Yeah, so I'm not. I don't know how to make it. I can make it coarse. I can't make it. What's the word I'm looking for? Consistent.
I wonder if Jack, how he does it. His aren't consistent, but Jack Billings from Shed Knives, I used to think his were micarta because they're so rough. And I mean, like scratch your finger on them.
You can blast it with like, larger media, not like soda blast, but like media blast.
That makes sense.
And he also may be starting off with, they actually have coarse weave G10, and they also have that peel ply G10. So that could be different.
I like the feel of the peel ply, but once I go to shape it and I've run it across my grinder, it's just slick. The texture is gone.
Dude, I bet that's going to be sick.
Hey, Shane.
Yeah.
I heard this yesterday. Do you know how they teach redneck kids to put on their underwear?
No.
Yellow in the front, brown in the back.
Paul, that works too, buddy. Anything, I mean, because I don't like to, if I let a knife naturally patina micarta, the way I hold it and the way my hand sweat is, it's never consistent. So I've got to start out just getting at least basically consistent. And then like this one, I'm going to do the scale swap on tonight.
Tell you that when you get your sheaths, I mailed those off today. Keep in mind that I made both of those 3 times. They're a little snug, but I did that so that they would loosen up over time. But yeah, I'm not a Kydex expert. But we knew that when we went into it.
But you're gonna get so much better, dude. And
what I've learned, the blade is not an issue. You double blue tape the blade, you're good to go. You have to have a plan ahead of time of how the sheath is going to react.
Lock into that part of the handle that goes into it.
I don't. I can't picture it ahead of time, so I try to make it happen as I'm making it. And
this looks really simple to me. Can you see that little ridge right there?
Yeah.
It's just a straight ridge.
Right.
And when you look at the handle, it's got super tight retention.
Yeah.
But it's got that ridge just barely cut.
And I think part of my problem is I'm using gun holster Kydex, which is thicker. So I think if I did that exact same sheath, you'd never get that knife out because the Kydex isn't.
Well, this is that gun holster, and I can barely get it out.
Yeah.
I don't like the material at all.
Yeah. So that's been my issue with doing Yodas was I'd make it and I couldn't get the knife out, and it was either it's so tight I can't get it out, or it's not holding it in. It's like didn't seem to be any in between.
And then
so maybe if I was using, I hate to say this, but if I was using lower quality, cheaper Kydex,
you need thinner.
Well, when you do your screw on scales, Dustin Driver and T-Kill also do this. You might not be able to see it, but there's just a screw size indentation here.
Yeah.
And here.
Let me tell you the easiest one I've done yet. I did a CKRT Minimalist, the little cleaver one that had the hole up at the end of the blade, and there's no retention at the handle at all. All the retention is at that hole. Because when I squished it, the Kydex went down on both sides, went down into that hole a little bit, and it pop, snap, pop, snap. It works perfect. I didn't have to worry about what it was doing at the handle.
That's what Jason was doing for a while.
Yeah.
Joe, yes, I have used that. I prefer I've got I can't remember the name of the company, but I've got a beeswax I use and then buff it. Just so it can be reapplied easier. But I do like that.
I threw my buffing wheel in the garbage. A couple of reasons why.
Is that what was catching your blades?
I've actually ruined a total of 6 knives. I didn't talk about it. And one of them bounced off my stomach. Luckily, the handle hit. But the other one shot straight down to the floor and snapped the tip off. If you're working with a buffer every day, dude, hats off to you, man.
I can't remember the one dude. Oh, it was
in motion for a solid 2 minutes, and it's fine. And then all of a sudden, it slings it out of your hands so violently that even if you don't get hit by the sharp part of it, it's so violent, it hurts your fingers when it comes out.
Just ripping out of your fingers because you're holding it so tight.
I can't remember who. It might have been Gentry that was talking about that. He built a station to stand behind that was basically like a
plexiglass shield.
No, like a blast cabinet, there was another guy who was used to wear a armored plate vest because guys die every year from getting stabbed by blades coming at them.
If you want something buffed on your knife, I'm not your guy. I'm just not doing it anymore. One, it did scare me, because one of them hit me. One of them, if you guys that have seen the shop know that I work on the far end, and one of them bounced off the wall on the other end of the shop. It slung it all the way across the shop, and it sounded like somebody hit the wall with a hammer when it hit.
Paul, absolutely. His knives, I think, are gorgeous.
And I mean,
I've never experienced one, but I'll look at it every day.
It wasn't an arching flight path. It just shot like a bullet.
It had FPS, probably like 600, 700 FPS behind it, like shooting a pellet out of a rifle, I'd imagine.
I'm not fooling with it. I may still have a Avenue torch polishing. I bought these little polishing wheels that will go on my die grinder. I can put this stuff on, and then I can just clamp the knife down and go around. I'm going to try that, but I'm not using that buffing wheel anymore.
Yeah.
All it takes is for one little string to get loose on it, and that string is what grabs the blade and yanks it.
Wraps it up, doesn't it? Kind of like an octopus tentacle.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying you can be doing the same motion at the same angle and it's fine, and then all of a sudden it's not. Your life's at risk, and to keep in mind, guys, that's the very last step. It just happened with half empty knife. Like, I should have just.
You got a finished knife, and you just ruined it.
I should have just put it in the box, but I wanted it to be a little bit nicer, so I went. And now I'm making him a new knife.
Cheeto.
And that's part of it too, Shane, is if you can get the piece stationary, whether it's locked down with a vise or with a lamp or something, and then do the polishing with it, you'll be fine.
These are just little, they're the same size as the Rolock disc that go in your die grinder.
Right.
They're not like stringy cloth, but it's really soft.
Kind of like a felt wheel.
It feels like felt, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe a half-inch thick felt, and I can put compound on it, clamp the knife into a vise, and then use it. So.
Are you using that on handles or blades or both? That's just me being stupid.
You could use it on blades if you want to do a polish finish on the blade, but I don't think I'm ever going to do a mirror polish blade. I don't think they look that good. They fingerprint up horribly, usable. Yeah.
I think the best mirror blades are not even done on wheels anyways. You're doing them with at the very, very end, but you're doing them with molding stones.
That you guys remember that stuff that Lindy and Richie used to do, that Starry Night polish, where it was like jet black, but it was mirrored too, and it had some stone wash. That was beautiful. And I remember reaching out to them because I was going to have a knife done. It's like $180 to have that done.
Oh, that was cheap. That's dirt cheap for that.
Yeah, and I thought, man, that's ridiculous. I'm not paying that. And then I realized what it takes to do it. That's hours.
Was that recent that you've talked to them? I haven't heard of them in so long. Are they doing good?
Years ago.
No idea.
Hours of Lindy sitting there all day.
Yeah, he's that process has been refined because it's not like what Brian's using. Brian uses an air polisher, and because I talked about it's a vibrating polisher, and it uses molding dyes. I think he even did a video on it. It saves all that hand sanding, and then he ends up doing the stone wash after the the tumble after the mirror, and it looks great.
Yeah, it's beautiful, no doubt. I've seen where Brian posted it. It's gorgeous, but I didn't realize there was a. Does that require some expensive tooling or?
The setup I looked at, because I thought about possibly looking into doing it, but the machine he's got, I think, is like a couple $100, and then the stone.
That's not too bad.
No. But it also
stones too, right?
Yeah, but the stones aren't that expensive. But it's because you're wearing them out. But the issue is I don't have in my office here. I'm not going to put an air compressor up here and let it run.
Yeah.
So.
Are you on the second floor?
It amazes me the spectrum of tools that people have. Like when I went to Alabama, Damascus, guys, they had this. It was like a 2x12 piece of wood that was maybe 4 feet long, and they had some off-brand electric motor bolted down to it in the back, and they had dual 10-inch contact wheels that nearly touched each other. They had an adjustment, so as the belt wore, you could move them in. And when they grind their hollow grinds, literally all they had to do was take that knife, come up from the bottom of those wheels, jam it between them, and pull it back towards them, and it hollow grind both sides at the same time.
And it was a tool that they made by hand, it sounds like?
Yeah. However, when Billy had his done, he had to send them all to Sawtooth Dave to have them redone.
I was going to say, what's the precision on it?
Yeah, but that's just the guy he's a good dude, but there's he can't spell precision. It just amazes me how people do the same thing. There's so many different processes to achieve it.
Well, you think about the care, the time, the focus, the type of day the person's having when they're doing it. There's so many variables.
Yeah,
I would think. And I would think the thing that is going to be a variable that moves around, but that you will be able to, in a pro forma, try to at least average out is the time you spend on these different processes.
I don't know what it is that Spyderco does to their K390. You guys, I told y'all I had this knife right here go through the laundry, washed and dried it, and I've got just a little dark spot right here on the Ricasso. That's it. That's all it did to it. But this is at a much higher finish than my K390. But those grind lines that Sawtooth Dave put in are beautiful. Dude, they will rust super fast. Like if it doesn't have oil on it to the point that you could see it and feel it, it will rust.
Well, okay. So this is K294, and I don't know if you can see, it's got a couple little patina marks on there.
Yeah.
And it's never been out of climate controlled environment. Like down here, there's some.
Well, I mean,
it's just naturally started to.
I don't mind the patina, but I'm talking about it would have like a hazy light brown.
Right.
Have you ever used a rushed eraser, Shane?
I haven't. Now on Paul's when it first did it, I just went over to my Scotch-Brite wheel and just flipped it across it a couple times. It knocked it right off. But I'm sure it will come back. It'll do it again if it did it then. I've got all the other. I need to no, Mike's not going to glue those handles on. I literally, when his did that, the rest of those K390 blades have been sitting on my table, which has a metal top, in a puddle of oil. Like I literally poured a pond of oil
to keep them submerged.
Yeah, because if not, I'd come back the next day, they'd be brown.
You can get other makers on Amazon, but this is a KPL. It's kind of like Magic Eraser, but a little bit coarser.
Yeah.
And I've gotten serious, not deep rust, but it will take rust off.
Yeah, when I say rust, it wasn't pitted. It was just
No, but it won't take
Pretty
pitted
good.
rust off. It'll take that surface rust
You know
off.
how when you temper a knife, it gets that amber hue to it from the heat? It's kind of like that. It's like a light amber haze. It's not actually rust. It just, yeah.
A little, what would you call that? What do you call it when oxidization?
Yeah.
A little light oxidization.
That's why I was going to
Bluetooth Blaze, what's happening,
I
brother?
was going to acid wash all those, but I did have an experience with some acid wash. I didn't realize how much material an acid wash can actually remove, but it can.
In terms of eating away blade steel?
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen instances where they would have heavy grind lines in the blade, acid wash it, and it's perfectly like it ate all those grind lines off.
Depends on how long it's sitting, and then how long you
didn't want me to acid wash it. He was like,
Do you
"No,
use
I
the same acid wash as everybody is acid wash something you buy, or do you mix it up?
ferric chloride. You just buy ferric chloride, mix it half and half with distilled water."
Okay, so
Some people have theories of adding a little bit of vinegar here or there for what I don't know.
I typically put I've got I think 50-50 with distilled water with mine.
I didn't know that, Richard. Good to know.
But the thing is, once you pull it out, it's how long you leave it in there. But also, once you pull it out, making sure you neutralize it right away. Otherwise, it'll continue to eat it.
Yeah.
So that mean put it in a base? That's me coming back to my 6th grade
I bathe
chemistry.
mine in Windex.
Yeah.
Because ammonia will neutralize it.
Yeah, it's got something with an offset pH.
Yeah.
This one's acid wash.
Paul's first knife, I kept wanting to get it darker, John, because Nitro V tends to get just like a light gray acid wash. It doesn't get black. And I wanted it darker, so I kept doing it because I didn't know. And I got it as dark as I wanted it, but by the time I did, that knife went from 10 thou behind the edge to 30, 35.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
Kyle
serious
called me
shit.
like, dude, this thing's thick as fuck. And I'm like, there's just no way. But there's a live of me micing his knife. Me micing the edge, and it was 10 thou.
Does acid wash do anything positive to your blade's strength or retention? It doesn't, does it?
No, it can.
Because Kyle found out a new way to get an acid wash look without actually acid washing.
It can inhibit corrosion because that oxidized layer won't let the steel corrode. That's why I was doing it.
But a lot
on
of people,
first knife, I was just doing it purely for looks.
a lot of people use it on carbon though because it'll get darker and it prevents that. When you use it on stainless, that's when it won't get nearly as dark because it doesn't have the content to isolate. So when you have like you're doing it on a stainless and it won't get nearly as dark like you do, like your M4 gets super dark, right?
M4 turned black as night.
Right.
Yes, Paul, it is 154 CM. That's the same recipe on that 154 CM, by the way, that I'm not going to mention his name, but another maker, two other makers were testing, and it was outcutting Spyderco's S90V.
It sucks.
It sucks. It's fucking hard.
Well, we also know why
you dropped it on the concrete, but it's hard.
we know why yours was super hard too.
Yeah.
I think yours was harder than what he was using.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
To the acid, Joe?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
Like I was asking somebody why, because I've got working with my first piece of S90V, and I'm like, why is it that much harder to sand? Keep this in mind, guys. M4 is 4% carbon. S90V is 22% carbon. That's why it's so hard to sharpen and why it holds an edge for so long.
Well, see, okay, here's the difference too. There's a difference between edge retention and wear resistance that people don't realize. That's why all these custom makers love using 154 and RWL 34 because it's easy to polish. So when they were doing the mirror blades, it's easier for them to work on than doing it on a harder steel, or not a harder steel, but a higher wear resistant steel. So the S90 to me, it's not any harder to sharpen than with the right tools than anything else. It's just if you were trying to get scratches out of it, it's a lot harder than it is on, say, a whatever 14C. Although 14C actually the same thing. It's 14C is a little bit higher resistance.
Dude, I got rid of a knife in S90V because I decided to do a polish on it. I was going to polish it, and after weeks and weeks and weeks of hand sanding it, I traded it off, and it still wasn't. I got it to look clean enough to trade, but it wasn't polished by any means. It's just one thing, like you can look at your scratch patterns you got and sit there and rub on it for 15 minutes and look at it again. It's the exact fucking same. Nothing has changed. You're like, you've literally just worn out your sandpaper, but you haven't removed any metal.
And
Hey, who's the guy that does all the sharpening videos that I've been watching? Because you told me to. Is it Outpost 76?
Outpost 76 does edge retention testing, or used to.
You talking about Outdoor 55?
Yeah, is that what it is? Outdoors 55. Did y'all see his video day before yesterday?
No.
He was talking about geometry versus and some people had been hating his comments, and he was setting them straight. It was fucking priceless.
That dude is so funny. I love his sense of humor, man. His sarcasm, it's very mild, but it is hilarious. Yeah. What time is it? Shit, guys.
It is only 12:45. We've got about at least 15 more minutes, unless y'all can bail any time.
Well, I'm going to continue watching, but I got up at a decent hour today, so I'm feeling pretty sleepy.
Guess what I'm doing after this live?
Taco Bell?
No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm doing a scale swap, dude. I'm doing taking my old Blurple PM2. If anybody's looking for PM2 scales, if I don't fuck my this up, I've got some bow scales that are well loved, but I'd give them away. But I'm going to put some titanium rock scale designs to match my the knife I got from Justin, and then eventually I'm going to get the same scales for my other, so all my Spydercos will look the same except the blades.
Did you get those? Was it those pirate scales or whatever the hell they were?
No, well, these are the critter pattern. When you say pirate,
no, they were. These had like a design. They looked like they were. Was it from DNA? Not DNA. It might have been DNA.
These look like scales, kind of. I don't know if you can see that, Kyle.
Yeah, that's not what I was talking about.
No, and they've got all different kinds. I just wanted it to match. And these are going to be interesting because the ones I put on my crew wear and on my Mannix were different. These are linerless. So I get to take off the show side liner and just keep the compressing lock side in there. I don't know how it's going to work. To be honest with you, I've never done a good Spyderco scale swap that wasn't at least a struggle.
Terry, if you're still in here, shoot me your address. I'm glad you brought that up, though, Cheeto. I didn't think about that.
Quarter till 2 there, Joe. So you're in.
I still got some PM2 scales if anyone needs any. I've got a set of OEM gray G10s, and I've got a set of burgundy micartas from Rips, I believe.
Yeah, these that I've got, I think, are sharp dressed. But I'll maybe include them in a giveaway coming up.
Tell you the truth, I have one, but it's horrible. It's not good.
Shane, do you have a blade scribe yet?
I have one, but it's horrible. Not good.
Oh, you just answer that.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like it's homemade and there's no. It's really hard to adjust because it has a set screw. You have to loosen the set screw and push it in and out to where you want it, then tighten it down. But when you tighten it down, it moves. So, yeah.
I take it back. They're black. They're not burgundy. I forgot what they were.
Kyle, speaking of scales, have you messed with the Vibe Composites linen micarta? Great color and non-phalonic. That's a word I've got to look up to add to my vocabulary. Based. Been impressed with them, says Joe.
No, Joe, I don't actually.
Vibe Composites. Look that up.
Yeah, the Vibe is the one who does those jutes. Micarta, Shane, the ones I sent you that link for. But no, I've not actually made any scales. I've just done like touch-up work on stuff, but
what kind of micarta? These are beautiful.
I am ordering some scale material though, so I am going to be doing some. But
composite linen.
All right, guys, I'll be in the comments, man.
All right, buddy. Hey, Shane, have a good night, my man.
Yes, sir. Love you guys. I'll see you.
Call me if you need anything.
Will do.
Later, buddy.
Can y'all see that? I like that blue.
Joe, I still haven't been able to get these inlays out. If I was going to send you those originally to work on, but I still haven't been able to get the inlays out. So I got one more trick up my sleeve to try to get them out, but they use some crazy adhesive on them.
Ooh. So it comes in a sheet, and when you sand it, that's when those other colors come out?
Yeah.
Is that how that works?
Yep. It's different layers. So as you
okay.
So like as you go down, it'll be the next one layer will be black, and the next layer will be white. So they're showing it as at different heights.
Kind of like Fortnite, but not at all because it's a totally different material, but it's layered up.
Think of it like it sounds stupid, but like a taco dip, like a 7-layer dip. Each layer is different. As you go down, it shows the next layer.
Hey, don't talk about tacos, dude. I mean, I'm still 10 minutes from when they lie to me, and I'll just like leave. My chair will just be empty if you talk about it too much. Turbo Glow, what the heck's that?
Joe,
I just make a material supply. It's got some cool stuff. I don't know anything about anything, but it looks nice. Looks very nice.
Yeah, those are the ones I'm trying to get out, but I gotta. There's no access to them on the backside, so I'm gonna have to try. He's
taunting me, dude. He knows it's gonna get in my head. It's kind of like Pavlov's dog, except my sphincter starts to quiver a little bit.
I won't tell you what I had for dinner then.
Oh, I bet it was delicious.
It's this. I don't know. It's like a soup, but it's got Italian sausage and fire roasted peppers and a bunch of other spices and stuff that it's freaking ridiculous, but it'll light you up though.
I don't mind heat. I don't mind heat at all.
No, I mean the aftermath will light you up, not so much at the beginning. The remnants.
55. That's why I couldn't find it. I was going to show you guys. I thought I wanted to share this with Kyle so he can watch it on his own time. We can watch a little of it here. We got a few minutes to kill.
I know who he is. I just haven't watched it.
I'll spare y'all the ad. Come on. All right.
Joe, I'm starting off easy, buddy. I'm going to do some fixies, and then I'm also going to work on some liner locks that are shadow box, so I don't have to worry about it.
I thought this was fascinating, but he gets into variables that I don't understand, and maybe Kyle can shed some light because there's
video showing how geometry can actually supersede steel and heat treatment, giving the false impression that a knife is actually a quality knife when it came to certain cutting tasks, and why it's so important to use a knife in the way that it was originally designed in regards to its geometry. Now, I did this by demonstrating different edge geometries on a couple of different knives while hammering them through some nails. And for reference, I will link those videos down in the description. So after releasing this video, I had an absolute army of trolls telling me in the comment section that I was wrong. Those same trolls then went out of their way to make up a whole bunch of stuff that I never said and then spread it around the internet. This spawned a couple of response videos to the things that I never said from some other YouTubers. So let's take a second to set the record straight. Now, contrary to popular belief, I made those videos in response to some ad campaigns that were running on Facebook, Instagram, that look something like this. Now, the videos that I specifically saw on Facebook and Instagram that sparked my original video was a guy using a similar blade, batoning through a rather large nail, and then proceeded to cut some bamboo matting and some other stuff, while the captions read, "Superior steel and heat treatment." And contrary to popular belief, that mystery steel and induction heat treating isn't superior in any way, shape, or form to anything, despite them chopping through steel bars and nails with those knives. They're doing this because of geometry. And once again, I go over this in my original videos. However, since I posted those videos, there's been a series of trolls going around posting a bunch of misinformation about what I said in those videos. Basically, these trolls watched exactly 3 seconds of each one of those videos. So let's raise the angle on this badly heat-treated knife to 30 degrees and see what happens. Check that out. There's like 0 edge damage. And then claim that I said in those videos that any knife with a 30-degree angle will survive being chopped through a nail. I do not say this in any video. I'm mostly referring to you and I's interaction in the comments of that video, when you stated that heat treat was virtually irrelevant compared to the angle. I told you that Peterbilt knife guy did a lower angle bevel, the knife failed, and then a 30-degree angle, and it still failed. So bevel and geometry alone weren't the only factors at play.
Wait, pause it, John.
You just quit responding.
He's getting ready to be funny here.
Here's what clearly these mouth breathers don't understand. There's a difference in geometry on the cutting edge versus how it was ground as well. So I don't even know what he's going to get into, but I can tell you one thing right away is if you grind a knife super thin as like a full flat, and it starts off thick and it becomes a full flat, then it's totally different than if you were doing a convex grind on the knife. So
right.
The geometry that he's talking about is not so much the edge angle. It takes into consideration, but it's more so how the knife was ground. That is the geometry that he's getting into more than what people think. They think, oh, well, 15 versus 30, that's your geometry. That's only a portion of the geometry. That's your secondary bevel. That's not your primary bevel.
And I think, you tell me, because that's how I interpreted how he explains it.
Is that what he's going to get into?
Probably blocked you.
Hold on a second. After I told back to, what'd you say, Collie?
So I didn't know. Is that what he's going to get into next? Because I haven't watched.
I think so, yeah. Because right here, he goes, "At this point, you just quit responding," and this is what I think is funny as shit.
And then a 30-degree angle, and it still failed. So bevel and geometry alone weren't the only factors at play. At that point, you just quit responding. That's because I probably blocked you after I told you the 1,000th time to go back and watch my entire video, where it would have clearly made sense if you did that. The thing is this has absolutely nothing to do with Peterbilt Knife Guy. I actually didn't even know, and I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, I didn't know who he was until after I released that original video, at which point I got a bunch of trolls in my comment section making up stuff about me and also making up stuff about him to me, and it just has turned into this.
That's real too, guys, that there are fan groups or that people that will just, if you question the wrong people, you will have, and you've heard it with fanboys and different knife companies I won't mention, but they are just relentless.
This giant cluster. I like Peterbilt Knife Guy. I've chatted with him. He's a cool dude. Go watch his channel. But the funny thing is that all the trolls making all this stuff up, they don't even understand his videos. It's hilarious. So let me break down at least my video to help some of you a little bit slower people understand what was actually happening in that original video. So here's the rumor. Apparently, I said any knife with a secondary bevel of 30 degrees or over will make any knife.
So Kyle, the secondary is what you're talking about, right? That's what we talk about, our 15 per side, or
your secondary bevel is your sharpening bevel. Your primary bevel is how it's ground.
I got you.
So why don't we just go ahead and roll over the first part of the video that you and all the other trolls who like making up stuff skipped over. That way, we can see what was really said. See what happens when we increase our sharpening angle from 20 degrees per side to 25 degrees per side. 25 degrees. Look at that. Almost no damage whatsoever. And what do you know? The secondary bevel survived simply by adding 5 degrees to the cutting edge. Let's try 28 degrees.
So,
and again,
Kyle, so all he's doing is increasing the secondary bevel.
Correct.
On these tests.
But he's also like, so that knife he's doing there, that's a Scandi grind. So it's going to have, in theory, it's going to have, if all things else are equal, more toughness than like a full flat.
Full flat, right. And he's about to get into
have very minimal.
Let me go forward here.
Equation in that chapter is 30. Then close. Equation in that chapter is 30. At 25 degrees, we have very minimal, if any, damage. You could probably almost drop this out. Oh wait, you mean there was another knife in that video that survived the nail test at 25 degrees? No.
That's because you didn't watch the whole video.
This is the equivalent of skipping to a chapter in a math book where the answer to every equation in that chapter is 30. Then closing the math book and thinking to yourself that the answer to every math equation is 30. What they fail to realize is the fact that the math book isn't trying to teach you the answer. It's trying to teach you how to do the equation. Because in this case, simply adding 5 degrees is the difference between either ruining the knife or a knife that completely survives. Did you hear it? That was a very important part at the end of that video. Let me replay it, because in this case, simply adding 5 degrees. I didn't mention any specific angles there. Wasn't 20 degrees, wasn't 25, wasn't 30, wasn't 40. I said, because in this case, adding 5 degrees, which is a completely arbitrary number. The point is that we added geometry to that angle to help it survive. That ending.
And that's all true, right, Kyle?
Absolutely. So a knife at 15 degrees can be sharper than a knife at 20, but it's also going to be weaker. So
correct, which makes sense because you've got less steel to withstand whatever you're pounding. Or
your it's your apex becomes thinner. Right. That's the difference. But again, the geometry of the primary bevel matters more, in my opinion, when you're trying to cut through something than just the. And also, like, okay, if he's sharpening on or trying to make his edge, the secondary bevel, a convex or a V grind, make a difference as well too. So
I'm gonna skip to what the part that he says, the part that the trolls will skip and then make up stuff based on what they think. And this is, I think, the science. Where'd my audio go? Oh. Fuck.
In that video, and the entire premise of the video remains the same. So here's a super complicated explanation after removing the specific angles. Knife number 1 fails nail test with the letter A representing the failing angle. We add angle to our apex until we no longer have failure. This is represented by the letter B. Now we put this together in a super complicated math equation where A plus B equals C, with C equaling the angle that doesn't fail the nail test. Now this is where the impatient people will stop watching and then go out and say that, well, Alex from Outdoors 55 said that by simply adding geometry to any particular knife will allow it to be pushed through any nail without any damage whatsoever. And I actually answered this in a follow-up video that I pinned in the comment section of the original video.
What was that, Kyle?
I said wrong because it also depends on the steel makeup and the steel heat treat as well too. On top of
right,
that.
and I think that's what he's saying. He never said that in the video, that they made it up.
Where people asked what happens when the damage extends beyond the secondary bevel. Surely that's not a geometry problem. Well, in most cases, it actually is, as demonstrated in that video with a $5 Walmart knife. We were able to add thickness behind the edge, which allowed the $5 Walmart knife to pass the nail test. And the idea behind showing that test is that if the geometry is too thin for the task at hand, it doesn't matter how good the steel, the hardness, or heat treatment is, it's not going to survive cutting through a nail.
And you agree with that, right, Kyle?
Yeah, that's what we always talk about as far as.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just because I don't understand when y'all talk about it. It's like rocket science to me, so I pick up bits and pieces. But this kind of put it in perspective.
Now, my entire goal with the last video was to not focus on the specific angles. I gave the specific angles in that video for reference sake, so that we can come back and have something to compare to later for you. Now, these trolls have been so influential that it's actually spawned some response videos from some other YouTubers attempting to prove me wrong about something that I never said in the first place. And despite this mountain of evidence against me, I refuse to admit that I was wrong. Now, what was this evidence, you may ask? It was attempting to chop a nail in half with a butter knife at a 30-degree angle. So here's my response to the giant pile of evidence stacked against me based on something that I never said in the first place. So I recreated this experiment. Even with a 30-degree angle, the butter knife failed. What do you know? Let's try the same test with a much higher quality steel, hardness, and heat treatment. Oh, that failed too. That's because the geometry on the blade isn't thick enough to be hammered through a nail. Also, just for evidence's sake, this is far more complicated than we are even making it out to be here. Turns out that this test has already been done by Dr.
What's that, buddy?
I said 100% correct. He's
bringing receipts. The way I looked at it, he made a good video bringing receipts.
Well, I mean, it's just you're trying to take a black and white as far as you make a knife, this angle is going to cut through this. That's not how it works. There's way more factors into it than just that. So
right, but like my simple brain can go back and look at when I used to split firewood, I would take a maul out or I would take a hatchet, depending on if I was making kindling or if I was splitting wood, because of the thickness of the grind. And in some way,
okay, so here you go, Devon. Think of it this way. Let me do this. If you are grinding or you want to chop wood and you've got an axe, right? And here is your angle on your axe. Okay.
Right.
This point is contacting the wood. It's going to come in here and split. The wider that V, the more effort it's going to take, and it's going to make that split wider, correct?
Right.
If that angle becomes like this and tries to cut through that wood, it's going to slice more and not spread as much, correct?
Right. It'll bury itself and get stuck in the wood, probably.
Okay. So this is the difference we're talking about, and you can see that. That's the difference we're talking about between having a thick geometry. This would be something, or if you did it more like a convex where you did this, where there's the shoulder. See that mark that goes across?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense as far as the grind goes straight down to that point and then goes to a V?
But the V's kind of like, when you say convex, it's kind of got a roll to it, right? It rolls into
right. As you see that, it kind of has a curve to it. And that's going to take that material and splay it. So you're not
that's
getting
why most of your bushcraft knives or your heavier use knives are convex.
Correct. So what he's trying to explain is it's not just that bevel angle here. It's not just that section there that matters. It's the entire geometry. And these people think that this number has to be 30 versus it being Dawson. I got you. You may frame it too. The ability for that original grind will make a huge difference, because then this can be different. So like we always talk about picking the right steel for the job. So if you want something that's going to chop or cut through something, you want something that's very strong, right? That's why you use your 4Ds, your AEBLs, your 15N20s, your A670s, all those types of seals. Then you use the geometry, keep it thick, potentially with a convex, so that way when it does take impact damage, it's not going to deform.
Correct.
That's what he's showing is the deformation of the edge. Because anytime you hit something like that with that much impact, it's going to deform. It's just a matter of how much it's going to deform.
Right. Whether it deforms around that extended bevel or if it just basically cuts through that thinner bevel.
Correct. So that's why, and hopefully that makes sense as far as how the different types of thickness of a grind will make a difference. So if you take a, say a 3/16 inch, you have more material to start with than you do something that's an 1/8 inch stock.
Right.
That's why you don't have the strength behind it. That's why you see the your axes and your chopper knives and that kind of stuff as a thick blade stock to begin with.
Gotcha.
So just saying that the secondary bevel geometry doesn't take into account all of the rest of the factors that mean probably as much, if not more, which is blade choice, heat treatment, grind, all of those things.
And mainly your use case scenario.
Well, that's why I go to the original thought of whatever, when you're designing a knife, you pick the best steel for the task. Then you treat it optimally for that steel, not for what the task you're doing, but for that steel. Then you use the geometry third to dictate
for the task.
topics. Correct.
That makes perfect sense. I don't know if Jeffrey's fucking with you or if he's fucking with you.
Of course he is. Archie, I don't know if that's being sarcastic or not, but I'll take it either way.
I think he was being serious. Dude, you are a good teacher. You explain things that are, I mean, if I can understand it, and again, it takes me longer because I ask the same questions week to week, but I feel like I'm making progress in my knowledge, which is still very kindergarten level.
Well, I try to take things, I'm not dumbing things down. I'm talking about it so it makes more sense to people who don't nerd out over something. The same way when I used to teach golf. Yeah, I nerded out and I knew physics and angles and all that stuff, but the common person doesn't know that and doesn't care. They need to know what's wrong and how to fix it. And that's what your job is to do as far as becoming a better instructor.
Yeah, you got to be able to speak to your audience, your metallurgists and your people who know nothing, and be able to make them feel equally comfortable.
Right.
You can't deliver the message the same way.
Well, not everybody wants to nerd out of it, but they may be interested in learning the why, and giving them the why in a way that they can understand it takes different abilities versus just saying, this is the only recipe. I'm a scientist, read the book. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Yeah, there's a lot more to it. But it gets done. So some people are doing it right? I mean, it's interesting to me.
Well, I just look at it from a different approach, I guess. I look at it from, I like the nerd side of it, but for people who want to understand but don't want to nerd out, I still want to be able to explain to them so that they can grasp it as well without having to go down that huge rabbit hole.
Right, because again, the fundamentals are kind of basic according to you and Outdoor 55.
Once you understand the fundamentals, yeah. I mean, that's again breaking it down into. I mean, it becomes physics. Your angles, your geometry, certain things that the force, the impact, those things equate to how it's going to react, cause and effect. So there is a correlation between all of these factors, and that's why I want to talk about some of the catcher tests that I always agree with, is because of the variables being larger than need be for a type of study if we want to get into the true breakdown of the numbers. So
Very cool. Crispy's laughing. Y'all are killing it.
Crispy, I'm sorry, buddy. We can talk about more things that will make you at ease, like some licking windows or getting your drool bib out, or
how I talk people off the ledge on a daily basis. And usually my dad, play still is like ballistics for me. There's nothing to do but continue to learn. True. I mean, and
Jeffrey, I agree with that 100%. And I love both of those. But here's the thing about ballistics: I never nerded out to the point of learning Coriolis effect and getting into all that. But I do appreciate learning your dope and all that kind of stuff.
And I'll tell you just from somebody, and this is just tangential, but if you learn anything and continue to learn anything, it'll make your mind stay strong longer, and it'll also keep you humble. Always be learning something. Always be learning something. Well, kids, I'm going to bail. What do y'all think, Kyle? How are you doing?
I'm perfectly fine, but you can do whatever you want to do. You just allow me to be here, so I'm happy with that.
And we will be back Friday, guys. I appreciate everybody that hangs out on our Tuesday night sit and spin. And I promise we'll get back to not always talking about knives. We talk about stuff. What I want it to be is you guys bring up crazy shit and we just all react to it. That always turns into like a good battle. Maybe get 4 or 5 people on the panel and just go fucking nuts. That's maddening, man, when you have to talk over people and you can't hear, and something about debating with people that blood alcohol content is higher than mine puts me at a disadvantage.
I don't know. I'm not gonna go there.
Guys, I love all of y'all. Oh, I know. And again, I come back to my only point in the whole thing was I agreed with everything being wrong. The only question was intent. What was the intent? Was the intent to be a thief? Does it really matter? No, because the same results are the same. But I think it does if you're labeled a certain way. But who am I to know? I don't know shit. I only met him once.
I appreciate you having me.
What's that?
So I appreciate you having me.
Dude, you're here anytime you want to be, and I expect you if you're able on Fridays because I'm gonna have my sharpener out, dude. Since I put my 4-inch Venice back on, I don't know if I'm just used to them, but I'm getting better results. I'm just having to adjust to, I think the angle that the Blitz 365 or the 360 sits compared to this one. I don't know why, and maybe it's because my angle guide hadn't come in yet.
Dawson, what do I owe you? I will, Javon, I should have some new things in Friday, or we can take a look at for if we want to go over any questions.
Very cool.
But yeah, maybe we can do another live sharpening if you want, if you got questions on any type of thing. But
I'd love to. What I'd like to do is I'm going to be sharpening one too to try to mimic what you do.
Okay. I should have
and softer steel.
This one is going to be done by Friday. I've got to sand it down completely. The other side still. I'm going to refinish the blade, and that'll be ready to be sharpened. And then I should have another box by Friday, hopefully from Shane as well too. And I've got another box from somebody else coming in. So we'll, depending upon what gets here, we can go through some stuff. So.
And you're staying good and busy, aren't you, buddy?
Yeah.
Or do you need to be more busy?
I'm more busy. I could, but I'm not upset that I'm not, if that makes sense.
I got you. Well, you want to have that balance, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like having steadiness, but that's hard to do in this. You typically go through peaks and valleys. I think I talked about
feast or famine in anything like this.
And I don't mind it. I'd rather be air on the side of not busy because I like to turn around product as quick as I can for somebody. So I don't want to hold on to someone's knives. So.
Well, dude, I appreciate you stopping in. And guys, I appreciate all y'all hanging. I am going to make a video a scale swap and trying to fuck it up and be in bed by 3 or 4. But I love each and every one of you. Do me a huge solid. Look out for the guy or gal to your left. Look out for the guy or gal to your right. Always look out for each other. I'm going to qualify this. Choose debate, not hate. But that does not mean you're choosing debate to change someone's idea or have your idea changed. You're debating to learn why they feel the way they feel. So with that, I'm going to leave it with you guys. I love each and every one of you. Hopefully I'll see you Friday. Check out my videos. I've got a couple coming out this week that are pretty cool. Some Tuya stuff that Dave sent me to check out. And I've recorded them all, so they're going to kind of come out in succession because I'm sending them back to him. But y'all check them out. Enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you said faction tomorrow night if I'm not asleep on the couch. I love y'all. Kyle, love you, brother.
See you, man.
Back in my bag, yo. Conscious. ISO. Down. Back in my bag and I gotta brag. I do this shit for real. When we was down and we had nothing, we had to share a meal. We put the shit in